Not even Amazon can do that. A big screen store.
Every single retail store in the state about from the best time of day to search for a flight to how far in advance you need to book your ticket.
How do you get the cheapest airfare?
I booked my stuff like 6 months or so. Events and wedding travel on Friday, Saturdays.
I mean, you should just go through the search engines to make it easy.
It's clear there isn't one single answer to finding the best price for your flight, and sometimes there even can be misleading information out there that could cost you money. Consumer Reports identify common myths and what you can do instead to score a better deal. First up, Tuesdays are the best days to book airfare.
This one started when airlines used to load their fares at the beginning of the week. But now, airlines are much more sophisticated in the way that they price their tickets, changing the price 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And for consumers, that means they can find a good deal on airfares any day of the week.
Consumer Reports says follow airline social media accounts and set up alerts so that you will be notified immediately when sales become available. Next myth, it's always better to book as far in advance as possible.
Airlines don't start to actively manage their inventory until 5 to 3 months before departure. So if you buy a ticket too early, you'll probably pay more than what you would if you had waited to buy within that time period.
And the final myth, a round-trip airline ticket is a better deal than 2 one-way fares.
Online booking sites have gotten really good at finding travelers money-saving one-way flight combinations.
So Kayak actually offers something called Hacker Fares, where it will search for 2 one-way tickets that collectively make a round-trip airfare. And while you might have to take 2 different airlines, you are going to save a lot of cash. Back to you.
Great report.
Yeah, I mean, we're always looking for flights, right?
Yeah.
Looking for the best deals. Well, Consumer Reports says another way to find good flight deals is to look for air and hotel packages together. That's
Right. Yeah, exactly. And you can find plenty that include a business class seat and a 5-night stay in a hotel by visiting your favorite airline's website. What I also heard is that if you're all about the cleanliness,
Yeah.
I am a germaphobe,
you are.
but if you get on the first flight, I guess, of fleeting out, apparently that's when they, wipe it down, as opposed to like the last flight.
Come on, Meg.
Hey, I'm just saying, if you want to be,
That's the
it's
case.
still dirty on the flights. What I'm saying, if you get the earliest flight, apparently it's like cleaned. I don't know.
You need to bring your own
Anyway.
sanitizer. Taking a look outside right now. A beautiful day out there. Get outside, enjoy the weather, take a nice ride around the Tunnel Basin, whatever you want to do. It's going to be a gorgeous day. We'll check in with Lauren for more on the full week forecast when we come back.
Value City Furniture introduces the best sleep experience ever. Dream Mattress Studio. Come in and our sleep experts will help you find your perfect mattress match at the new Dream Mattress Studio, now open only at Value City Furniture.
It can start with a glance. It can start with a cuddle. Or it can start with a moment you didn't expect. But before any of that, it can start with the right care and the right nutrition from Hill's to help make shelter pets healthy and happy.
Like, well, is it aloha? Wow. And massage.
Wow. 80%. They take.
This summer, Volkswagen is supporting America's teachers. Visit your VW dealer to learn how you can join them. Now during the Volkswagen Drive Big rollout, get a $1,000 purchase bonus on 2019 Jetta, Tiguan, and select Atlas models.
Good Sunday morning. The time is 7:15. In consumer news this morning, Maryland's tax-free week is now underway. It's time to start shopping. It started this morning. It runs through midnight Saturday, August 17th. Now, during this tax-free week, you're not going to have to pay any sales tax on clothes or shoes as long as the item is under $100. This is a way to help people do their back-to-school shopping, save a little bit of money. We actually have a full list of everything that's exempt. Head on over to WUSA9.com or the WUSA9 app. Some good news out of the U.S.-China trade war. That is if you are in the market for a new home. The average rate on a 30-year mortgage dropped 0.15% in the last week. So now that's down to 3.6%. It is the lowest level since November of 2016. So, of course, what does this mean for you? You could actually save thousands if you're buying a new home loan or getting a new home loan, or if you're refinancing. A number of cell phone carriers, they are starting to launch 5G networks, including right here in DC. So what does this really mean for you? And is 5G actually better than 4G? Our Matt Gregory did some digging in and has all the answers.
This week, we're digging into the future of cell phone tech. 5G, which stands for fifth generation of mobile networking. Tech experts as I call them, believe this could open the next industrial revolution. Less smoke and steam, more phones and geeks. You get the idea. 5G will be at the very least a technological revolution. And here in the US, wireless companies are rushing to get their networks up and running. How big a deal is it? Well, those same tech experts say 5G will run 100 times faster than our current 4G networks. I guess the speed of instant gratification isn't fast enough for some people. It's not just faster though. 5G can power networks and appliances. And for the sci-fi nerd, it will move self-driving cars faster to the line. And that's why phone giants, AT&T, Verizon, and Sprint/T-Mobile, that merger's probably going to go through, are racing each other to get their networks up to speed. But that's not the real race. The real one is the 5G race with China, the president's favorite topic. China is hustling to complete their network, and depending on the day, the United States and China are either neck and neck or the US has a slight lead. Now, this is a big deal. Whoever has the more successful 5G service, in theory, would become the technological capital of the world. And in a race for top speed, whoever gets there first will probably be the winner.
All right, let's take a look now at some of the craziest videos that we've seen this weekend, starting with none other than Kanye West. You don't have to say more, right? Yeah, you can just stop right there. This actually isn't about the rapper himself, but actually what he is building. TMZ reports that these dome structures are West's low-income housing project to help counter the affordable housing crisis in Los Angeles. They sit on his 300-acre plot in Calabasas. But after neighbors complained about nighttime construction noise, inspectors actually showed up. They determined that West had built this without a permit, never got a permit. So he's either going to have to win the planning board approval, or he's going to have to tear them down.
I thought they looked like bunkers for, end of the world type thing.
I'd like to see inside, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
See what that looks like. It's still in progress, though. Well, it was supposed to be a hidden camera. It just wasn't hidden well enough for a couple of sharp-eyed owls. Take a look. About 500,000 people watched the online camera feed from the owls, or of the owls from the Hawke Conservatory Trust in England. But when they figured out it was there, owls just kept squawking. I love this. Until one of them, someone might be going up there to install maybe a less noticeable camera this next time.
Those owls are very wise, aren't they?
It's beautiful. He's like, get out of my face. All right, well, someone who likes warm weather, this one is not my favorite story this morning. Oh, man in Vienna, Austria is the new world record holder for spending the longest amount of time packed in ice. Oh, you can have that. But he broke the record yesterday afternoon as people arriving and leaving the city's main train station watched as he stood in the box, cruised poured ice down onto his shoulders. And he stayed there for 2 hours and 8 minutes, breaking the old record by 15 minutes. Who does this? How would ask for precaution. My goodness, buddy, you can have it. You deserve all the awards that they give you. How do you figure out you're good at that? I didn't realize I can stand in an ice-packed room.
I can't put my toe in ice for 2 seconds, let alone have it covered all together.
Seriously, I have goosebumps standing here right now, right in the studio. All right, well, for decades, it has been one man's dream that came true in a movie. But up next, more on the plans Major League Baseball has to take the field in Iowa next season.
For a limited time, ARS Rescue Rooter will buy back your old inefficient HVAC system when we take up to $1,500 off your new heating and cooling system purchase. Visit arsofvirginia.com.
Call ARS and Rescue Rooter. Do you want me to come with you?
I'm very sure.
Yes, I can. I make good choices.
You make good choices.
Delicious high-fiber raisin bran.
I am. Fiber is good for digestive health.
Good choices never tasted so good.
Really? Hi, guys.
We like to trade.
It's Carbine season at Nissan's Bottom Line Model Year End event. In the Bottom Line, the last for 2019 is like the Tech Advanced Growth and Altamont. Hurry, for Model Year End savings are full line. Get 12 months of finance savings of $63.70 on the road.
2 sandwiches for $4. You're a cheap date. Pizza today. I think this is a date. Get 2 sandwiches all to yourself. Plus fries and a drink for $4. Man, that's some checkers. Fast food is nothing.
Stand up to chronic migraine with Botox. What if you had fewer headaches and migraines in life? Botox prevents headaches and migraines before they even start. Botox is for adults with chronic migraine, 15 or more headache days a month, each lasting 4 hours or more. Botox injections take about 15 minutes in your doctor's office and are covered by most insurance.
Effects of Botox may spread hours to weeks after injection, causing serious symptoms. Believe your doctor right away. It's difficult to swallow, speaking, breathing, eye problems, or muscle weakness can be signs of a life-threatening condition. Side effects may include allergic reactions, neck and injection site pain, fatigue, and headache. Don't pursue Botox if there's a skin infection. Tell your doctor your medical history, muscle or nerve conditions, and medications, including botulinum toxins, as these may increase the risk of serious side effects.
With the Botox Savings Program, most people with commercial insurance pay nothing out of pocket. Talk to your doctor and visit BotoxChronicMigraine.com to enroll.
Leaky faucets, clogged drains, schedule an appointment with ARS Rescue Group today. We're going to take $50 off. ARS Rescue Group. Maybe it work. Maybe it won't. Visit ARSinvirginia.com.
Call ARS Rescue.
If you build it, you will come. Major League Baseball, they're going to put that famous quote on the field of Yankees game that will be played in the middle of an Iowa.
Major League Baseball will make the Field of Dreams a reality this summer. The league is taking a page from the script of the iconic 1989 movie that starred Kevin Costner and James Earl Jones.
No. Iowa.
On August 13th, Aaron Judge and the New York Yankees will play the Chicago White Sox on a ball field that the film crew carved out of a cornfield in Dyersville, Iowa.
People will come. Welcome to Iowa. This is the
MLB will construct a temporary 8,000-seat stadium for the event. That's nearly twice the population of Dyersville, but tiny compared to the big crowds these teams usually attract.
That's the joy and beauty of it, of being that intimate experience. And again, because it's a first time ever event.
One nation. So, this time that we can present to you.
It means more.
It really is because, this isn't just a one-day bad day at work or stressed out. It is what they call chronic stress at work that is unsuccessfully managed. So this is repetitive, and the key distinction is that work stress is brought home, and it's not something happening in personal life and really all aspects of the work.
That really is death by 1,000 cuts. You don't realize it until it's too late. Okay, so you talked about how to properly manage it. What can you do?
So these are really common sense approaches, but they're not common practice. So one is communicate. Talk to your employer, your supervisor about possibly managing workload to reduce that stress. Open up with friends and family, and as well as your doctor. And then there's 3 other big things that you want to focus in on. Exercise. Get up and move, because when you exercise, your brain actually releases a chemical that makes you feel happy.
Endorphins!
Yes.
Get those endorphins flowing.
Absolutely. And then a healthy diet is also important, because not only is a healthy diet good physically, it actually helps you mentally as well. And then again, prioritizing sleep. Sleep can be so restorative and can make you really deal with stress in a much better.
Isn't it when you have a good night of sleep, it's transformative? You remember those nights.
It really is. And I was going to, sort of mention that this is all important in terms of talking to your doctor about your overall view. And try and open up, try and communicate and describe what you're feeling. Many employers have a employee assistance program for behavioral health embedded in their health coverage. They're there ready to help. But the most important doctor is the doctor you see every morning in the year.
Okay. Awesome. There you go.
doctor and the mayor is going to be the one to prioritize your health and well-being and really engage in the behavioral change to make sure that you
That makes sense. You really have to be honest with yourself and be honest with your physician when you see that.
absolutely.
All right. Thank you so much. Thanks for being here today. Again, with United Healthcare, we appreciate giving us all the information we need.
Thank you.
And don't go anywhere, guys. A, we'll have all of this up on fox50.com, and B, much more news ahead. Plus, Michelle will be down here and looking at today's weather and your
I know exactly what this is. Exploring the wonders of nature has never been easier. Well paved in a new, gradually sloping entrance. Lorraine Caverns. What will you discover?
You have a lot of deadlines in your business, right?
Miss deadlines will be paid.
What if you lost your network connection? You got to be chaotic. Our GigSpeed network lets you download files up to 20 times faster. And we go beyond fast with 4G LTE backup for complete reliability. So if you lose your network connection, you won't miss the deadlines.
Having conferences and that's down in prices. Just one more way we go beyond. Right now, get fast, reliable internet for a low price. Call 1-800-501-6000 today. Really? Hi, guys.
We like to trade.
It's Carmine season at Nissan's online model year event. In the bottom line, it lasts for 2019. So let's check the answer for and Altima. Hurry, for model year and savings are full line. Get all custom financing of 63 on road. Get 0% financing for 36 months on Altima.
So I took the PF Black card for $1 down. Really? Yeah, I get all the perks. Like what? Like a free guest. Hey, Carl. And I can work out at any Planet Fitness anywhere. Like wellness is on vacation. Aloha. And massage chairs. Man, there she is. Get all the perks with the PF Black card for just $1 now. $21.99 a month.
Become a PF Black Card member for only $1 down, now through August 13th. We built one for Lincoln, erected another for Jefferson. Mother Nature, made her very own. Discover a monumental feat of natural wonder only at Lorraine Caverns.
My son texted me back. Said, Dad, I'm coming home on Wednesday. They say, hey, baby.
But not before you get this, another day of sunshine everywhere.
That's right. Taking a live look at the National Harbor. It's a beautiful day. Low to no humidity. Looks like we're in San Diego. Yeah. How about some California?
There are feedback on your table. Just to do this for farming.
Welcome to Decorative Presents. I can't tell you how Jack and I are blessed. Every single week when they send over some of the letters that come in the deal.
This is all money, your money, your life, your future.
Again, with hackers, they're not just after your social security number. Cyber criminals can break into and damage embedded devices like office phones, printers, even ventilation systems. Our Andrea Day found security experts working to defend against hack attacks. It's this week's cover story.
Note that was complete until we try to physically destroy the device.
When you interview this CEO, you may wind up evacuated.
All right, let's get out of here. All right, now it's out of here.
Bong Sway founded the cybersecurity firm Red Balloon here in New York City. This is where the magic happens.
This is where the magic happens.
And here, the goal is to make embedded devices more secure. And that means breaking in, taking them apart, and exposing the flaws.
Yes. This can be compromised in some way.
100%.
100%.
Embedded devices are like mini computers. Inside almost everything you can power up, from smart home devices to medical gear and cars, and every financial exchange, power grid, air traffic control, and almost every company in the world.
This is probably the most important cybersecurity threat that we have today because these computers control every single aspect of our critical infrastructure that we depend on every single day.
And according to a report by market research firm Radiant Insights, the global embedded system market is projected to be worth $214 billion by next year. This is a small version of an air filtration system that's in the lab the team's working with right now.
They don't want it to dirtier than however, and this computer will allow that to happen.
They hack devices inside the fan's controller, not only forcing the dirty air in the wrong direction, but ultimately shutting it down, and it goes up in smoke.
That's awesome.
But Sway says the issue goes way beyond this demo. The team recently uncovered a major vulnerability in more than 100 devices made by Cisco, the largest manufacturer of network equipment. According to Red Balloon, we're talking about a potential attack that could sell for millions. They let Cisco know what they had found, and the company published this critical advisory. Cisco turned down a request for an on-camera interview, instead releasing a statement saying in part, Cisco is committed to transparency and is not aware of any malicious use of the vulnerability that is described in this advisory. Cisco will release fixes for this vulnerability. We asked Cisco if a tool exists right now to know if a device has been hacked, the company telling us in part, an audit tool is not currently available. We recommend customers review the security advisory to assess the best way to protect their network. We wanted to find out what other industry leaders are doing to protect their embedded devices and reached out to HP and Huawei. Both companies were not part of Red Balloon's findings. HP is the largest manufacturer of printers, which contain embedded devices. Andy Rhodes is the global head of HP's commercial PC business. His company's advertising claims to have the world's most secure printers.
We put this special code into the printer so that it's always looking for malware and devices.
Huawei did not agree to an interview or provide comment. I'm Andrea Day for On the Money.
So how can companies outsmart the hackers? Charles Henderson is global head of IBM Security's X-Force Red. Their job is to stay ahead of cyber criminals. Charles, sounds like you've got your work cut out for you.
You know, we really do. It is a great job, though. We get to go against technology, make technology break, and solve those problems before criminals have a chance to exploit them.
We saw just a couple examples of the damage that hackers can do. But when you're looking at the big picture, what's the overall overarching worry for the companies if they can break into these embedded devices?
It isn't so much will you have flaws, but how will you handle those flaws when they become apparent? How will you fix them? How will you get the fixes out to your customers? How will you make sure that devices out in the field, whether they're in the home, they're in the office, or somewhere in between, are secure?
What's behind the motivation? I mean, are hackers potentially doing this just for pure sabotage reasons, or are they holding the companies hostage, hoping for a ransom in order to reverse those hacks?
In most cases, it's monetization. You know, criminals like money. And, you know, when you can compromise a device, when you can compromise a system, it may lead to an investment that you can get a return on. You can monetize. That could be compromising credentials. That could be compromising financial data. Or it could be something that device is connected to. If you think about what we've done, we've invited the internet into our homes, into our offices, everywhere in between. And it turns out the internet is a crappy house guest.
And they call that the Internet of Things when you have your thermostat and your lights and your stereo and your heating all hooked up to the internet. So how do you protect today's smart buildings, smart homes from this type of hacking?
Well, first of all, you test those things before you deploy them in a building, in a home, etc. Most consumers can't do that kind of testing, but rely on known brands that will have done that kind of testing on their own. And the second thing is make a risk judgment. I mean, do you really need to see what's going on inside your fridge from across town? And these are legitimate questions you need to ask, because everything you do with Internet of Things, with these embedded devices, brings about risk. So it's a risk-reward ratio.
what do we as consumers do proactively to keep those things that are internet connected safe, to keep our personal data that might go into that safe?
Well, it's important, first of all, to use devices that are current, that are supported. If you think about these security vulnerabilities, they're quality defects. In the same way that your fridge ice maker might stop working after 6 months, your fridge may actually have a vulnerability 6 months in. You want a company that will take care of that ice maker, that will replace that ice maker under warranty, and will have a good repair record. Because chances are, if they can replace the ice maker, they can come up with a security patch and fix to deploy to your fridge.
I know I'm going to ask you this as a big picture question and your focus on individual companies, but do you think companies are doing enough to protect themselves and their customers from this kind of intrusion?
I think most are, but you see companies doing more and more every day. We're getting better as a general society in security testing. We've removed the stigma of these vulnerabilities. It's not so much that a failure in security is a chance to improve when you find these vulnerabilities. A failure in security is a compromise, not a vulnerability.
Charles, it's great to see you. Thank you so much for your insight and sharing your experience with us.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Up next, we're on the money. What if the gas station came at you? Fuel on wheels, on demand, brought right to your vehicle. And later, when planning for retirement, how much is enough? Is there a magic number you'll need to start saving now? And a look at how the stock market ended the week.
We trust USA more than any other company out there. They give us excellent customer service every time.
Our 18-year-old was in an accident. USA took care of car and getting the car. So all I had to take care of was making sure that my daughter was okay.
If I had another family, they were with another insurance company, I'll tell them, you need to join USA because they have better rates and better service. We're the Gomez family, we're the Rivera family, we are the Kirby family, and we are USA members for life.
Get your life insurance quote today.
At Safe Light Auto Glass, we really pride ourselves in making it easy for you to get your windshield fixed.
Let's turn in your science papers.
This teacher always puts her students first.
Thank you, Glenn. You see it? Oh, I can't wait to do that.
So when she had auto glass damage, she chose Safe Light. With Safe Light, she could see exactly when we needed it.
Let's get this down.
Yes, ma'am. Saving her time. So she can save the science money.
An amazing oil boom on American soil.
More than Iraq, which is extraordinary to think about.
The Texas surge and how it impacts you on the next full measure.
This morning at 10 on ABC 7.
Good. And the shape is actually stronger. What close this planet to the sun? Mercury. Benedict Arnold. Photosynthesis.
My place keeps intersectional.
That's what it was.
It's that time of year, man. Time to get Bob's discount on back to school values. Like my Chadwick youth bedroom, dresser, desk, and twin bed, only $6.99. My Bob Peter Jam twin extra long mattress, $2.49. And my Playscape sleeper sectional, only $7.99.
Get Bob's discount.
Do you have what it takes to be the next American Idol? American Idol auditions are coming to DC on September 4th, and you can sing your way to the front of the line. Go to WJLA.com/sing to find out how. American Idol returns in 2020 on ABC 7.
Ravens, Packers, Thursday at 7 on ABC 7.
If you're tired of pumping your own gas and you want to take that chore off your to-do list, there's a new startup that's fueling disruption by reinventing the gas station. Our Dee Roy has more on a colorful new business that may have you saying, tanks alive.
These purple tankers filled with gas are on a mission. They drive to parking lots of Fortune 100 companies, and one by one, the drivers behind the tankers fill up the gas tanks of the cars in the lot. They work for Booster, a Silicon Valley startup trying to disrupt the retail gas industry by offering on-demand gas refueling,
at a time when demand for gas is at a record high.
I've been a pilot, so I had seen mobile fueling done for small planes and thought, hey, if you can do this for small planes, why can't we do this for cars?
Founder Frank Mycroft is a former pilot and NASA rocket scientist who started the company in 2015.
That's right. One of the reasons I started Booster is I just don't like going to the gas station. My wife did not like going to get gas either, and I was assigned to be the chief fueling officer for our family, meaning that I was the one that would go do that errand twice a week.
Since its founding, the company has attracted clients like Facebook, Cisco, and PepsiCo, who offer the service as an employee perk. And venture capitalists are taking notice too. To date, Booster has raised $88 million in funding.
There's $500 billion of gas every year just in the United States that's pumped, but it's still such an archaic process and such a broken process. We love that Frank has a vision.
Among the company's investors, Enterprise Rent-A-Car, which uses Booster to refuel its fleet.
Booster is currently in 20 cities across California and in Dallas, and plans to expand up the Pacific Northwest and to Gulf Coast in the coming 12 months.
We've been on just a record clip these last few years, growing about 2 to 3-fold every single year.
Booster's prices are typically a bit cheaper than the nearest gas stations in an area, and also fluctuate with the market for gas prices. While the startup mostly works with company clients for now, it occasionally does events at parking lots of malls and gyms to try to make its services accessible to more consumers.
And that's really the company's ultimate goal, to make the service as accessible to as many people as possible, even though it made more economic sense to partner with businesses first, since the company has a ready-made pool of consumers it can reach that way. And Contessa would ask whether they may someday provide mobile charging for electric cars, but they didn't rule that out as a potential option down the road. Are there competitors for this? Yeah, there really aren't any notable competitors out there. And while it seems like such a great idea on the face of it and a simple one, the company says figuring out how to execute it is actually quite complicated, and that's a big barrier to entry for a lot of newcomers. Aditi, thank you so much. So interesting. Up next, we're on the money. Ready to retire? How big should your nest egg be? Setting a savings goal, free retirement. And later, kids are heading back to school, and if they're off to college, they may need a whole new type of supplies. The best gadgets for your students.
I can't believe it. The job brought stereo consumer. No, I can't believe how easy it was to save hundreds of dollars on my car insurance with Geico.
Believe it, Geico could save you 50% more on car insurance.
Aladdin Carpet and Floors. Upgrade your home and get interest-free financing for 12 months on carpet, hardwood, tile, luxury vinyl, laminate, and more.
Here's your boots. Actually, that's the bitch.
How am I going to fit your own Buick?
Easy.
I couldn't do it.
Me too.
I was actually talking about that.
I knew that.
Did you?
Buick's fresh new lineup is full of surprises. Current eligible non-GM owners and lessees get 20% below MSRP on most 2019 Buick Encore models. Or current eligible lessees get this low mileage lease on this 2019 Encore for around $149 per month.
Get ready to crave Checkers and Rattles because Texas Toast Garlic Bread, one of the greatest words ever. Put that toast on 2 juicy patties with all the fixings for a classic double. Or cover it with crispy onions, dripping sweet smoked barbecue, then drop the garlicky, buttery might. Because you just won and eat it for only $2.99. New Texas Toast Garlic Bread Doubles. Checkers and Rallies. Fast foodies know the deal.
Aladdin Carpet and Floors. Over 33 years of excellence. Shop carpet, hardwood, tile, laminate, and more. Home now free in-home consultation.
ABC 7 News at 6, followed by World News Tonight, weeknights.
Planning for your retirement. Do you know how much cash you'll need to live comfortably when you stop working? Charles Schwab recently did a survey of 401k participants to see what people think is that magic number. With us now, Abel Anuni, a Charles Schwab Vice President and Senior Financial Consultant. It's great to see you here today. $1.7 million is the average amount that people think they'll need for retirement. How long do they think they're going to need that money to cover?
Most people they plan on retiring in the mid-60s, and people are living a lot longer nowadays. So usually about 30 years.
So $1.7 million over 30 years. And what's your typical response when people say, well, I'm covered because if you factor in my Social Security and what I've saved and what I've invested, I'll be good.
Well, we typically try to look at what's your lifestyle going to look like, how much are you spending, what do you have in terms of income.
Do most people assume they're going to spend less in their retirement than they do while they're in their working years?
Absolutely, yeah. So most people look at I'm not going to have a mortgage when I retire. I'll be doing less traveling from home to work, so I'll have a couple of less expenses. I mean, they usually fill in some of that gap with vacations.
What do people tell you about why they don't put more money into their retirement accounts?
So there are a lot of competing saving, goals for saving. So they might have kids, they're saving for college, they have to pay back student loans, they have, they're taking care of their parents. Sometimes that's a big one. Yeah.
And what do you think people should do? What steps should they take to build up their retirement savings so that they can count on that nest egg beyond, say, 20 years of retirement?
A big thing that we advise clients to do is take advantage of the employer match. That's really important. So you want to make contributions for at least that, but ideally, as you get raises, as you get bonuses, you're putting more towards retirement.
Is there a percentage that you think is really a magic goal?
It depends on how old they are. So in their 20s, anywhere from 10% is not a bad starting point. If you save nothing for retirement and you're in your 40s, you can get up to 30, 35%.
Okay. Because you are advising clients, we've had such volatility in the stock market right now. What are you telling people who are calling you and worried about the impact on their retirement accounts?
So most people I work with have some kind of financial plan in place. So what we do is we go back through the financial plan and make sure that they're on track. So we've accounted for some of the volatility we've experienced, and we expect that we're going to actually have more going forward. So one of the key things is just make sure that are you still on track? Are you still meeting up with your plan?
Abel, thank you so much for joining us and giving us some insight.
Thank you.
Up next on The Money, I'll look at the news for the week ahead and the back-to-school gadget guide, getting around campus to taking a class, the best tech for students, and oh, by the way, how much is it going to cost you? Maybe it's going to take away from retirement. Every day, visionaries are creating the future. So every day, we put our latest technology and unrivaled network to work. The United States Postal Service makes more e-commerce deliveries to homes than anyone else in the country.
This is Justin.
Hey, what's up?
This is Justin's brewery. He's full.
This here, 5 years.
Justin knows beer, but he's not so strong on trademark infringement.
There are a lot of items like that here.
So he counts on Legal City for help with a lot of the legal stuff that's hard to run a business. We help him with an LLC and trademarks for all his beers.
What he said.
Which means Justin can get back to what he loves.
It's like somewhere.
This is Justin's pride and joy. And this is what life means legal.
We trust you to save more than any other company out there. They give us excellent customer service every time.
Our 18-year-old was in an accident. USA took care of her car rental and getting her car towed. All I had to take care of was making sure that my daughter was okay.
If I had another family, they were with another insurance company, I'll tell them, you need to join USA because they have better rates and better service. We're the Gomez family, we're the Rivera family, we're the Kirby family, and we are USA Universe for life.
Get your life insurance quote today.
Every day, visionaries are creating the future. So every day,
we put our latest technology and unrivaled network to work. The United States.
For a limited time, McCarthy Services will buy back your old inefficient HVAC system when we take up to $1,500 off your new heating and cooling system purchase. Visit McCarthyHomeservices.com.
McCarthyHomeservices.com. This does not look like a discount sofa.
It's not. Everything I sell is quality furniture, and I give you a discount. Bob's discount.
Interesting. I remember this for as long as I live.
It looks so young.
Do you remember?
It's not discount furniture. It's quality furniture at a discount.
Bob's discount. Yeah, Bob's discount. Only at Bob's Discount Furniture.
If your air conditioning system suddenly stops or something doesn't seem quite right, call McCarthy Services. For a limited time, we'll waive our service call fee with any repair. Visit McCarthyHomeservices.com.
McCarthyHomeservices.com.
Donate school supplies online at Here are the stories coming up that could have an effect on your money this week. On Tuesday, we'll get a read on inflation with the Consumer Price Index for July. Wednesday, we'll get another gauge on inflation with last month's import and export price report. Thursday, we'll get the consumer with July's retail sales. And we'll also see how factories are faring with July's industrial production report. Friday, the housing starts report will come out. That shows how many home construction projects began last month. Oh, and by the way, for all you thrill seekers out there, if you're not getting enough volatility in the stock market, how about this? Friday is National Roller Coaster Day. Well, summer is soon coming to an end, and the new school year is about to begin. This year, families with college students are expected to spend, on average, nearly $1,000, totaling $54.5 million on school supplies. Joining us now to tell us the best gadgets for your buck is Dana Woolman, the editor-in-chief of Engadget. Dana, it's so good to have you today. So this has been a trend for multiple years. It doesn't seem to be going away. That if you're sending off your child to college, now they're young adult, they need a laptop.
So I would say that this is still the most popular category in Engadget's back to school guide, by far, just going by the number of clicks we get on these stories. And Apple just refreshed its MacBook line for the fall. And so this is the MacBook Pro. It used to be somewhat out of reach for a lot of students, which is to say, although it started around $1,300, you had to pay more like $1,800 for the model with fingerprint sensor, which is actually my favorite feature about the entire MacBook Pro line.
Because of the security?
The security and the convenience. Imagine having to just type out a long password, really genuinely secure password every time you wanted to log in. So I love being able to use my finger the way I can on an iPhone.
I had a notebook and a pencil. Imagine. Yeah. What about note-taking apps? Are there particular ones that you like that you think are effective?
Yes, so one of the most popular stories in our guide this year is our guide to note-taking apps. And it's not a one-size-fits-all thing. But for most students, we're recommending Evernote just because it does work on such a wide range of platforms: Windows machines, Macs, Android phones, iPhones. And there are a lot of features built in. I think people think of note-taking apps as just something where you scribble your handwriting. But now the best note-taking apps also have built-in audio recording, built-in camera apps that can recognize handwriting. Pretty advanced these days.
When I was in college, I remember junior year, I came back to school with a bike for the first time on campus. Today's gadgets have moved way beyond bicycles.
So you could bring a bike to campus. You could also bring an electric skateboard. So we have a whole section in our guide this year to electric vehicles. There are electric bikes, skateboards, and scooters. And I think for a lot of people, skateboards is the best balance. They are portable, they are transportable on things like buses and planes. And this thing can go pretty fast, can go up to 18 miles an hour.
Are there campus rules that keep motorized skateboards, scooters, and those kinds of things off campus walkways?
It could vary. Certainly, we're seeing skateboards at a lot of campuses, especially in, say, warmer weather environments.
What about, again, I'm reaching way back in the memory to think about hot pots were not allowed in dorms, but people had them anyway. How are people cooking up their ramen these days? Is it still a microwave?
There are a lot of different options. We do recommend, among other things, the Instant Pot. This is the mini size. So obviously, better to choose a more compact size for a dorm room. And it's just a multi-function cooker. It's a slow cooker, pressure cooker, it can saute. And it's probably allowed in most dorms because all you need to do is plug it into an outlet. And I think it's great too for maybe who are inexperienced cooks, I know I didn't know much about cooking. I could do hot dogs and pasta when I was in college. So this can make people, I think, look like sophisticated and competent cooks than maybe they are first entering.
And plus there's YouTube videos on how to actually cook your stuff in your Instant Pot. There's all kinds of subculture in my Instant Pot, which I haven't mastered, and I've got 2 of them, but whatever. What about gaming? You say that this is a really popular category, though again, as a parent, I'm thinking, why are you gaming? You're supposed to be doing your homework.
Totally. In the 18 to 29-year-old demographic, nearly 3 in 4 men are gaming and nearly 1 in 2 women, which kind of surprised me. And so all the consoles available, our go-to for college students especially is Nintendo Switch. It's a little bit cheaper at $300. And it's both a home console but also portable, so you can dock it in front of the TV, but you can easily take it to someone else's dorm and then play a whole raft of party games and nostalgia games that people really like, Super Smash Brothers, Mario Kart. I'm in my 30s and people still bring this to other people's homes to get the party going.
Oh, that's pretty fun. All right, I just bring my iPad with heads up, and then I'm playing a different kind of party. But I've learned so much. It's almost like going back to college myself. Thank you so much, Dana. I appreciate you. And that's the show for today. I'm Contessa Brewer. Becky will be back next week. Thank you so much for joining us. And next week, vaping is on the rise, and so are restrictions on e-cigarettes. So take a look. Each week, keep it right here. We are on the money. Hope you have a great one. We'll see you next weekend.
Tune in ABC 7 August 9th through 17th at the Montgomery County Fair. Your Broadway wishes granted. Activities of Aladdin. Audiences at Pixel Free. Aladdin is fabulous and extravagant. With unforgettable music and sensational dance numbers, it's exactly what you wish for. Get your tickets today and see for yourself the breathtaking spectacle that only Disney can deliver. Now playing for September 7th. Tickets at county-center.org. Thanks for joining us for ABC 7 Day at the Montgomery County Agricultural Fair. ABC 7 is a proud partner of the summer event you've all been waiting for. You all fans, this is the one we come to going on now from August 17th.
Hey, mister, are you a railroad business?
Guilty.
Did you fix the flood in my house?
Sure did.
Toilet overflow?
Nope.
Pipe break?
Didn't want to.
What's the water heater?
Nailed it.
I live in winter grub. Is that your real hair? What's the birds and bees? Do you know where my grandma is?
You know, I don't know.
What's that?
Wrapping up the water cleanup.
You do that too?
We do both.
Fair enough.
Call Roto-Rooter for plumbing and water cleanup. Yeah, we do both.
Good morning, America. The search for answers this morning after accused sex trafficker Jeffrey Epstein's death in federal custody. The calls for accountability and the outrage after Epstein's death by apparent suicide. The investigation's underway as his alleged victims speak out.
Just wanted him to be held accountable.
How his death will affect related cases for those seeking justice.
Taking on gun violence, Democrats and Iowa calling for change.
We are going to pass gun safety laws in this country.
Reaching their planes with emotions running high. I'm about 6 and 3-year-old boy. That's amazing. Your voters go for their solutions. Caught on camera. Ambulance accident. 2 emergency vehicles responding to the same call on a collision course. The lifesavers who needed help in this ugly crash.
And breaking overnight, Miley Cyrus splitting from hubby Liam Hemsworth.
I came in like
The break coming less than a year after the couple timed out their statement on the news, wrecking fans' hearts.
A million miles.
everybody will be here because Vegas did something pretty impossible.
Grandfather takes his entire family to Hawaii, 33 in all, whisking them away on the vacation of a lifetime, using only his frequent flyer miles. What made this trip so special? Live from ABC News in New York, this is Good Morning America.
Good morning. Dan is off, but we are very happy to have Tommy on with us again this morning. We begin with the latest on the death of Jeffrey Epstein. Attorney General William Barr said he was appalled to learn of the death while Epstein was being held at the Federal Detention Center in New York City.
Yeah, it comes less than 3 weeks after the multi-millionaire and accused sex trafficker was taken off suicide watch
At least 2 federal investigations are being opened to look into the circumstances surrounding Epstein's death. ABC's Stephanie Ramos is at the Metropolitan Correctional Center with a search for answers this morning. Stephanie.
Hey, good morning, guys. Well, the Justice Department announced 2 federal investigations into the apparent suicide of Jeffrey Epstein here at this correctional facility. One led by the FBI, one led by the Inspector General. There were also other federal investigations into any possible wrongdoing at this facility.
Multi-millionaire financier and accused sex trafficker Jeffrey Epstein is dead after an apparent suicide at a New York City jail. But his accusers still want justice. The 66-year-old was awaiting trial on federal charges accusing him of sexually abusing dozens of underage girls. He was likely going to go to jail for the rest of his life had he been convicted. But 3 weeks ago, he was put on suicide watch after being found unresponsive in his cell. ABC News has learned a week later he was taken off. Some of his accusers, like Michelle Licata, are angry at the news of his death.
I never wanted anybody to die. I just wanted him to be held accountable for his actions that he did.
His death comes less than 24 hours after 2,000 pages of new documents were made public for the first time, with accusations leveled against Epstein and other prominent men.
Screaming on the inside, and you don't know how to let it come out. All you do is say, that's it.
The 2015 defamation suit brought by Virginia Roberts Giuffre, now settled, was unsealed. The suit by her was against Ghislaine Maxwell, a longtime Epstein associate and British socialite. In court filings, Giuffre says that Maxwell recruited her while she was working as a locker room attendant in 2000 and was groomed to be a sex slave to Epstein, adding she was later directed by Maxwell and Epstein to have sex with many, quote, powerful men, including numerous prominent American politicians, powerful business executives, foreign presidents, and other world leaders. In deposition testimony included in the trove of documents, Giuffre alleges that she was directed to have sex with British royalty Prince Andrew, former governor and UN ambassador Bill Richardson, and the former influential senator from Maine, George Mitchell. All 3 men have strongly denied the allegations. In statements, both Mitchell and Richardson say they never met Ms. Giuffre. In an interview with the Miami Herald, Giuffre spoke of what Epstein and Maxwell would instruct her to do.
Give Jeffrey what he wants. A lot of this training came from Ghislaine herself. It started with 1, and then it trickled into 2, and then before you know it, being learned out to politicians and to academics and to people that need royalty.
Maxwell has not been charged with any crimes. She has consistently denied the allegations. Her lawyers writing that Giuffre had utterly failed to substantiate her patently incredible claims of being trafficked to well-known men.
Giuffre's lawyer, who represents other alleged victims, says in a statement the fact that Epstein took his own life within 24 hours of the unsealing of detailed documents is no coincidence. Wait.
All right, Stephanie Ramos for us. Thank you. And the Manhattan U.S. Attorney saying the criminal case against Epstein doesn't end with his death, promising the alleged victims that the investigation will continue. And Tom, you've been covering this case extensively from the beginning. You've interviewed many of those victims. Where does it go from here? Well, it's far from over. As you mentioned, the U.S. Attorney in New York, they still are going to investigate because they have a conspiracy charge here. You also have the U.S. Attorney's Office in New Mexico, where Epstein had an estate. They're still investigating. And because of that conspiracy charge, what that essentially means is there could be other people involved. And we just heard in Stephanie Ramos' report that accuser saying Epstein was not the only alleged monster in this case. There were people who helped him get these underage girls. Now, U.S. investigators will be looking into that. But the really sad part about all of this is that we spoke to some of those victims yesterday. They were tortured, they say, for years by Jeffrey Epstein. And now with this suicide, he sort of tortured them and tormented them one more time because all they wanted was justice. They wanted to see him rot in a jail cell. They went to his bail hearing. They testified to make sure he didn't get bail. They won there. We have to remember, Jeffrey Epstein beat this case once before, so this was their second shot at it. And now they feel so disappointed and let down that this was able to happen.
What could justice look like as the case moves forward? It's a big question.
But the question, this is far from over.
Correct, yeah.
Well, there's also breaking news in the search for an escaped inmate in Tennessee wanted in the murder of a prison employee. ABC's Will Reed has the very latest there. Will?
Eva, good morning. We've just learned there was a sighting of Curtis Ray Watson very early
This morning, the Department of Correction releasing these photos taken by a resident who notified authorities Watson had been seen on their property. This is the very first sighting of Watson. You can see he's changed his clothes. He's now wearing overalls, a hat, carrying a backpack. This property is in the same town as the prison in Tennessee. Overnight investigators also increasing the reward for his capture to $57,000. State investigators have released pictures of his tattoos, adding that he also has one on the left side of his neck. Watson disappeared from West Tennessee State Penitentiary on Wednesday. Officials say he sexually assaulted and strangled a longtime employee of the prison, killing her before fleeing on a tractor. Authorities are urging residents to be alert and vigilant. Tom?
A chilling image. It looks just like them. All right, well, thank you. A frightening scene in the Bronx as two FDNY ambulances rush into the same car, collided, causing one of them to overturn, and it was all caught on camera. Take a look. You can see the ambulances coming from different directions there, one plowing into the other. That ambulance losing control, bringing down a street sign before flipping onto its side. The four emergency workers inside, all seriously injured, expected to survive. Now to arrests in several states as investigators crack down on those who are threatening violence, some doing so on social media. The FBI now issuing a new warning in the wake of back-to-back mass shootings. This morning, the FBI warning Americans of a possible increase in hate crimes after several threats in the past week. Yesterday, police in New Haven, Connecticut, arresting 53-year-old Jeffrey Hansen, accused of posting a menacing Facebook message about a Puerto Rican festival. Elsewhere, two alleged white supremacists face charges for reportedly planning attacks. My Bushmaster rifle in Las Vegas, federal agents arresting 23-year-old Connor Klima. If there is a possibly very determined enemy, we have at least the means to deal with it. Klima, seen here in this 2016 video from affiliate KTNV, acting as a neighborhood crime fighter. Authorities say documents and messages indicate Klima recently wanted to blow up a synagogue or a gay bar. Investigators say he communicated with this dangerous neo-Nazi group. While searching his home, agents say they found illegal guns and bomb-making materials, as well as a notebook outlining plans for an attack.
Once you start talking about actually harming people, then law enforcement can come after you.
And in Florida, authorities citing an alarming Facebook post leading to the arrest of 26-year-old Richard Clayton. Investigators say the post read, 3 more days of probation left, then I get my AR-15 back. Don't go to Walmart next week. After recent deadly shootings across the country, America on watch. The FBI asking for the public's help to stop potential threats. The FBI is also offering states and their local authorities help with any of these investigations.
Well, gun control is a hot topic on the campaign trail in the wake of those massacres in El Paso and Dayton. Democratic presidential candidates facing the issue head on. ABC senior congressional correspondent Mary Bruce is in Des Moines with what they're telling voters. Mary, good morning to you.
Good morning, Eva. Well, this fair is a campaign rite of passage, a fun chance for the candidates to connect with voters. But this year we are seeing a very different tone. The candidates eager to keep up this conversation, making their pitches on how they plan to tackle rising gun violence. At the Iowa State Fair, the Democratic candidates taking their case directly to voters.
All right, I am hot and sweaty, but I'm happy to answer questions.
Taking in the sights. I just want a pork chop on a stick. And working the crowd. We got them. But front and center, the debate over gun reform.
We need reasonable gun safety laws in our country, including universal background checks and renewal ordinance all over the fan.
The candidates eager to keep up the pressure, pitching their plans to tackle gun violence.
We are going to make change. We are going to pass gun safety laws in this country.
The emotions of this debate pouring over.
I'm about 6 and 3-year-old boy. I'm imagining. I was imagining it was one of them that got shot in the other side. I'm so sorry.
Back in Washington, the president is pushing for stricter background checks. Do you believe the president when he says he wants to see some kind of meaningful reform?
I find that fascinating when he says you're going to check with the IRA.
Do you get any sense that this time around things are different?
Democracy is starting to show a little muscle out there. And I think Mitch McConnell's getting just a little bit worried.
Now, voters they've talked to here at the fair say it's time. They do want to see on this issue. The challenge now for them and for these Democratic candidates is going to be keeping this conversation front and center, keeping up the pressure, because of course Congress isn't back in session for another month. Tom.
Mary Bruce camped out in Iowa for us this week. Mary, our thanks to you. Let's bring in our chief anchor, George Stephanopoulos, who will be hosting this week later this morning. And George, this was an important week for the campaign, I believe. And we saw the Democrats intensify their attacks on President Trump, but we also saw a split. Some who held him accountable for the shooting in El Paso because of the president's comments on undocumented immigrants and Mexicans, and who called him a white supremacist, but others who didn't want to go that far. Tough talk worked in 2016. Is that what Democratic voters want?
Certainly, that's what Democratic base voters want. Right? And they want President Trump to be called out. I think the risk for the Democratic candidates is how do you call out, the question for the candidates, how do you call out President Trump without appearing to call all of his supporters racist and white supremacists? That's the fine line they're trying to walk right now. I don't think they want to alienate all of the supporters, but there's no question that calling out President Trump in a big way plays well with the Democratic base.
And speaking of the president, he said that he wanted meaningful background checks. He said he was also going to have Senator Mitch McConnell on board, but he's flip-flopped on this issue before, and he also made a point to say the NRA would be represented and respected. Is there any reason we should believe that he's committed to this issue?
The president's going to have to choose. I think there's no question about that. As you point out, and after past shootings, he's come out for background checks and then backed away from it, most notably after Parkland. It's a fantasy to believe that the NRA is going to sign on to background checks. So the president's going to have to choose either before background checks, before the overwhelming majority of American voters who say they're for them as well, and cut the NRA loose. If he sticks with the NRA, we're not going to get background checks.
All right, George, I'll see you later this morning. A reminder, George does have a big show this morning. He'll go one-on-one with Senator Cory Booker at 20 as the 2020 presidential candidate campaigns in Iowa. He'll also have the latest analysis on Jeffrey Epstein's suicide, plus the Powerhouse Roundtable. It's all coming up on This Week right here on ABC.
Tom, thank you. Now to violence overnight in Jerusalem. Clashes breaking out between Israeli police and Palestinians at a holy site there. ABC's Julia McFarland is following all of the developments from our London bureau. Julia, good morning.
Good morning, Whit. That's right. The clashes began early this morning when tens of thousands of Muslim worshippers went to the Al-Aqsa Mosque for prayers. Normally, Jews are not allowed to pray at the Temple Mosque compound out of Jewish tradition and under a long-standing arrangement between Israel and Muslim authorities. However, this morning, police allowed several dozen Jewish worshippers into the compound, sparking angry and hostile reactions from Muslim worshippers, leading to riots. Palestinians say that 14 people were sent to the hospital for treatment, and Israeli media report 4 police officers were injured.
Julia, tensions were already high because today is a holy day for both the Jewish and Muslim faiths.
Exactly right. Today is a holy day for both of those religions. It's the first day of the Islamic religious festival, Eid al-Adha. It's also Tisha B'Av, a day of mourning in Judaism, which marks the destruction of the 2 biblical temples on that very site. With both these religious dates, today's got off to a violent start. Meanwhile, overnight in a separate incident, Israeli troops shot and killed a Palestinian gunman after he opened fire at them across the perimeter fence around the Gaza Strip.
I'll stay on top of all the developments. Julia McFarland in London for us. Thank you. Eva?
President Trump revealing more details about that letter he says he received from North Korean leader Kim Jong-un recently. The president saying that Kim wants to meet again to restart negotiations. The 2 leaders have already had 3 meetings about denuclearizing North Korea. Trump also stating Kim offered him a small apology for his recent missile tests. Just hours after that revelation, North Korean officials issued a report stating that Kim has personally supervised the recent missile tests.
A new brawl broke out on the basketball court when the WNBA's Phoenix Mercury took on the Dallas Wings Saturday. Take a look. With just over 6 minutes left in the game, Phoenix's Brittany Griner, Dallas's Christine Anigwe got tangled up. There you see in a lane. And Griner starts chasing Anigwe down the court. Both players then restrained as others joined in. In the end, 6 players ejected from the game. Dallas ended up winning 80-77. By the way, that night was Griner bobblehead night too. So she was out there on the hunt on her bobblehead night. That was intense. There wasn't a fight.
That's something you normally see in basketball.
Exactly.
All right. Rob Marciano, not here. Out in the field, Orlando. Not getting into any fights last time we checked. But he does have a forecast for us this morning out in Disney Springs. Rob, good morning.
Yeah, it's been bobblehead morning down here in Orlando. Good morning, guys. Speaking of the WNBA, the NBA, that works in perfectly to one of the reasons we're here. The NBA Experience, the latest attraction here at Walt Disney World, Disney Springs, is opening tomorrow, and we'll talk more about that throughout the program. We are outside right now where we had some rough storm go through Orlando yesterday. It's just kind of warm and muggy as it typically is in the morning here in August, but shouldn't be too shabby a day this afternoon. Where it was even rougher yesterday, where it came down like cats and dogs in Tucson, Arizona. There was a flash flood watch out for this area for monsoon flow, and they had just less than an inch of rain, but it all came down at once. So flash flooding there. Where they had even more rain was in Little Rock, Arkansas, setting a record there. More than 2.5 inches of rain falling, actually more than 3 inches of rain falling during the day yesterday, and they had some flash floods as well. So a lot of moisture in the atmosphere. Here's where the radar is. Putting it down. Topeka, Kansas City, you're about to get some of this action today, where I think it'll be more intense. It's a little bit farther to the north and to the west, at least for today. Flash flood watches are posted for Nebraska, Kansas, Rapid City, Spearfish. Mount Rushmore may get a little bit wet today as this stationary boundary kind of weaves its way north and east. Denver and eastward, strong storms during the daytime and nighttime tonight, and then this all kind of moves off towards the east tomorrow, getting towards Minneapolis or just south of Minneapolis, maybe Chicago as well. Locally, about 5 inches of rain, but the severe weather threat is going to be across the northern plains today. That is a check on what's happening nationally here from what's going to be sunny Orlando, Florida. And now we're looking to local forecast.
Well, hello and happy Sunday. What a gorgeous start to the weekend. Today, I think even better. We'll have more sunshine, low humidity will remain, and temperatures very comfortable into the mid-80s. Overall, a great end to the weekend. But yes, we do have some changes in sight. The heat, the humidity, that will all return on your Monday. Temperatures in the low 90s. Don't forget, Good Morning Washington's on the road, Spotsylvania, also Stafford in the city of Fredericksburg as kids go back to school. Mid-90s on Tuesday, chance for some strong storms.
It is steamy here in Orlando in the morning, but we get cooling afternoon showers. It's a nice balance for folks who are attending Walt Disney World. One of the star players of the Orlando Magic Mo, as we like to call him, Mohamed Bamba, joined me yesterday. All 7 feet of them to explore the NBA experience. We'll share that story with you a little bit later on the program. What could possibly go wrong there? Did you put the kids in that in Disneyland, or are you just doing solo dad trip this time? I brought one of the kids with me, and she got a little over sugar-fied, and there were some intestinal issues last night. We'll say that. Morning shift. Good morning, Rob. Everybody's excited for the breakfast now. Disney World, I should say. Thanks, Rob.
Well, it is the trip of a lifetime for one family. A grandfather taking his bird to Hawaii after racking up enough frequent flyer miles to whisk them all away. And when we say all, we mean dozens. Diane is here with the story. 33 people. This man flew 33 people to Honolulu after racking up 1 million points on his Southwest credit card. He came from Florida, some came from Virginia. They all had a lot to celebrate, and the whole trip is giving a whole new meaning to family vacation. Family vacations often create special memories, but this grandfather's gift to his loved ones turned a getaway into a massive family reunion.
Everybody give a big cheer because Vegas did something pretty impossible.
Sam Pratt was able to take 33 family members to Hawaii for free after racking up more than 1 million frequent flyer miles.
I couldn't take another kid to give and travel because not only do you get to travel, but you get memories that go with that.
While in Honolulu, the family ranging in age from 2 to 72 celebrated birthdays, anniversaries, and a gender reveal party.
When you have 33 people, you're celebrating something all the time.
Plans for the trip came after Sam got some good news following a year-long battle with cancer.
So when the doctor said the words remission, and that he would be able to live with this type of cancer, and then he got cleared to fly, we were just jumping up and down.
The family says the trip has been a dream come true for everyone.
Never in a million years did we think this would be possible.
This is a dream. It truly, truly is.
Pratt's daughter says her dad was in the hospital for quite some time waiting to be well enough to fly, so this trip was very special to them all for a whole number of reasons.
Really mild, that's amazing.
Isn't it?
Yeah, 33.
Crazy.
Yeah, that's true Ohana, as they say. Extended family. Thank you, Diane. Appreciate it.
Had to throw that in.
Thank shot multiple times at a horse training farm. The Olympian she named as the shooter in her dramatic offer help.
Good Morning America is sponsored by Ancestry DNA. Discover the story only your DNA can tell.
Ancestry DNA can reveal where in the world you're from, and with new features and richer stories, it can lead you on an unexpected journey that brings you closer to home. It's only $59 to discover your heritage. So instead of telling stories of where you went, you can tell the story of where you come from. Get your DNA kit now for just $59 at Ancestry.com.
It's tough to quit smoking. Cold turkey. There's a Chantix can help you quit. Slow turkey. Alarm support. Chantix is proven to help you quit. With Chantix, you can keep smoking at first and even some to quit. Chantix reduces the urge so when the day arrives, you'll be more ready to kiss cigarettes goodbye. When you try to quit smoking, with or without Chantix, you have nicotine withdrawal symptoms. Stop Chantix and you don't run away from changes in behavior or thinking, aggression, hostility, frustrated, suicidal thoughts or actions, seizures, or worse part of blood vessel problems, sleepwalking, or life-threatening allergic insecure reactions. Decrease alcohol use. Use caution driving or operating machinery. Tell your doctor if you have mental health problems. The most common side effect is nausea. Quit smoking, slow turkey. Talk to your doctor about Chantix.
Good morning. We're going to try something different today.
Dogs bring out the good in us. Pedigree brings out the good in them.
Now, precisely defined brows. New brow ultra slim pencil from Maybelline, New York. Ultra slim, smooth, and resist breakage for your most precisely defined brows. New brow ultra slim, only from Maybelline, New York.
So nice to meet you. June, Jane, Jean, Kate, Rajan. Ray!
Good job, Brain. Say hello to Nurif, a new brain supplement with clinically proven ingredients that fuel 5 indicators of brain performance. Nurif.
I got that feeling like I'm all bent up. Can't stop me from doing what I wanna do. It's 7 billion. Sorry, I'm chilling. I got that feeling like I'm all bent up.
Oh.
People with type 2 diabetes are excited about the potential of once-weekly Ozempic. In a study with Ozempic, a majority of adults lowered their blood sugar and reached an A1C of less than 7 and maintained it.
Oh, understand.
And you may lose weight. In the same 1-year study, adults lost on average up to 12 pounds.
Oh, that's 12 pounds.
A 2-year study showed that Ozempic does not increase the risk of major cardiovascular events like heart attack, stroke, or death.
Oh, no increased risk.
Ozempic should not be the first medicine for treating diabetes or for people with type 1 diabetes or diabetic ketoacidosis. Do not share needles or pens. Don't reuse needles. Do not take Ozempic if you have a personal or family history of medullary thyroid cancer, multiple endocrine neoplasia syndrome type 2, or if you are allergic to Ozempic. Stop taking Ozempic and get medical help right away if you get a lump or swelling in your neck, severe stomach pain, itching, rash, or trouble breathing. Serious side effects may happen, including pancreatitis. Tell your doctor if you have diabetic retinopathy or vision changes. Taking Ozempic with a sulfonylurea or insulin may increase the risk for low blood sugar. Common side effects are nausea, vomiting, diarrhea, stomach pain, and constipation. Some side effects can lead to dehydration, which may worsen kidney problems.
I discovered the potential with Ozempic.
If eligible, you may pay as little as $25 per prescription. Ask your healthcare provider today about once-weekly Ozempic.
For a limited time, McCarthy Services will buy back your old inefficient HVAC system when we take up to $1,500 off your new heating and cooling system purchase. Visit McCarthyHomeservices.com.
McCarthyHomeservices.com.
You have a lot of deadlines in your business, right?
Miss deadlines, we don't get paid.
What if you lost your network connection? You gotta be kidding me. Chaotic. Our GigSpeed network lets you download files up to 20 times faster. And we go beyond fast with 4G LTE backup for complete reliability. So if you lose your network connection, you won't miss the deadline.
Having the confidence in somebody that's going to go down in the crisis.
Just one more way
$6,000 today.
Call McCarthy Services today for a complimentary water heater analysis. You can even save up to $650 on a new water heater, including tankless. Visit McCarthyHomeservices.com.
McCarthyHomeservices.com. Well, hello. Happy Sunday. We're expecting just more of the same as far as this beautiful and comfortable weather on your Sunday. Plenty of sunshine through the afternoon. Temperatures by 2 o'clock today into the mid 80s. I think we may reach the mid to upper 80s by 4 or 5 o'clock this afternoon. Dew points still in the 50s this afternoon. So pretty much unspeakable and unheard of here in the beginning and mid of August in DC. So enjoy it while it lasts. We'll have some slight southerly flow overnight, starting to increase that moisture level of the surface. 59-69 when you wake up tomorrow morning. So another very comfortable morning to start as we head back to school on Monday. Stafford, Spotsylvania City, Fredericksburg. We will be in the 70s in those areas. Now, high temperatures tomorrow reaching the lower 90s. So it will be hot and humid as we go through the afternoon hours. And also, again, on your Tuesday, more of the same, anticipating 94 degrees. Also have a chance for some strong storms back in the 80s. We go to the tail end of the work week.
Aladdin Carpet and Floors. Upgrade your home and get interest-free financing for 12 months on carpet, hardwood, tile, luxury vinyl, laminate, and more. Okay, I'll tell you that. What do you want?
What do you think?
I like it.
Yes.
How was it? That's internet is amazing. You know, Mom's cookies are also amazing. So that's all.
To the 2 XPs in the daily movement, Casa de Nestor at $29.99 per month for 10 minutes. You got ripped. That's off. You got ripped off. Whoever sold you those glasses charged you too much. Yeah, I'll be red faced too. Next time, go to America's Best, where 2 pairs and a free exam are just $69.95. That's a good deal. You'll save on contacts too. So, you gonna bench now? You gonna move? Dude, I'm like 5 pounds, muscle through. It's not just a better deal, it's America's Best. Never overpay, even with insurance. Get more with your Vision Insurance dollars at America's Best.
Aladdin Carpet and Floors, over 33 years of excellence, just carpet, hardwood, tile, laminate, and more. Call now to schedule a free info consultation.
Welcome back to GMA on the Sunday morning. Happening right now, the search for answers after accused sex trafficker Jeffrey Epstein was found dead in apparent suicide while in federal custody calls for accountability and justice as his accusers say they are angry that he won't pay for his alleged crimes. Epstein was on suicide watch just 3 weeks ago after being found unresponsive in his cell. At least 2 investigations are being opened to look into the circumstances surrounding his death.
And we start this half hour with a former U.S. Olympian now facing attempted murder charges. The equestrian accused of shooting an award-winning horsewoman on the grounds of his sprawling farm. ABC's Marcia Gonzalez joins us now with this bizarre story. Marcia, good morning.
Tom, good morning. Police say they've been called to that property multiple times for problems between the suspect and the 38-year-old victim. We're told she is in stable condition this morning. Investigators now looking at her social media for possible clues about a motive. This morning, a former U.S. Olympic athlete charged with attempted murder, accused of shooting a woman who trained and lived at his New Jersey equestrian facility.
We have 1 person down when I go shopping.
According to the police report, the victim called 911 last Wednesday saying, "Michael Barrison shot me. I've been shot twice." Officers responding to Barrison's farm, finding the woman identified by a friend as Warren Canarek bleeding on the pavement.
Our police responded within minutes. They took Mr. Barrison into custody rapidly and immediately began providing treatment, first aid to the victim.
Police say Barrison, who competed on the U.S. dressage team in the 2008 Olympics in Beijing and has since trained other Olympians, was the victim's landlord.
It's 2 people that had a disagreement that were going on for a little while. That unfortunately just did not end well.
Published reports highlight multiple Facebook posts attributed to Canarac from just days before the shooting. In one, she reportedly wrote, "I'm being bullied by a 6'3" man."
dirty to the point I'm afraid. And in another, she allegedly wrote that she was told to sleep with one eye open. Canorec's family attorney could not confirm the post with ABC News.
And police say Barrison also shot at a man Panorek lives with but missed. That man, police say, then restrained Barrison until officers arrived. This morning, the Olympian is being held on 2 counts of attempted murder.
Strange story. Marcy Gonzalez in Los Angeles for us. Thank you. A family is trying to end the nightmare that all started when they bought what they thought was their dream home. They never moved in when creepy letters started arriving from a mysterious writer known as The Watcher. ABC's Trevor Hall joins us with his family's latest move. Trevor, good morning.
Good morning, Ray. We've been following this story for years. A family trying to put down roots in their dream home. Including you. Is that risk of obviously trouble?
Because I was trying to escape from the trouble. I was trying to escape from the trouble. And you know, let's say to get rid of the darkness, you got to turn on the light, you know, and I feel like I am the light.
Tiffany was 12 when she and her siblings were placed into foster homes. She began to see that her light could take her places.
I started working as a music producer in high school.
Somebody paid $50, $100 to go to parties.
Yeah, it started out that. We didn't think that. It didn't pay me to like come to a bar mitzvah, a wedding, and like MC, or just dance, just be there to get people dancing.
When Tiffany was 16, her social worker gave her a choice.
You need to go to backpack comedy therapy, you go to psychiatric therapy, because something is wrong with you.
Easy choice.
And I was like, which one got drugs? She said, you definitely on drugs. If you go to therapy, so wrong. I go to comedy camp. I want to be a huge star. Not physically, but I want to be big. Here I am today, you know, 2 years later, selling drugs.
Kadish eventually graduated from camp to the stand-up stage. But those early years of comedy were not always filled with laughs. Tiffany was homeless and living out of a car when a fellow future star named Kevin Hart helped to change her life.
I would always put up like maybe 5 to 10 minutes late so nobody could see my car because I have all my clothes, everything, suitcases, all in the car. So one day I pulled up a little late and he was there like the same exact time. He's like, what the hell going on in here? What's all that? Was it, you live in your car? He was like, you can't sleep in the car in the streets. I'm like, what? I live in every house. I sleep in every house. I'm doing just fine. The police wake me up every night. He was like, Tiffany, you gave me $300 to find yourself a place to live. And then write out a list of goals, what you want to do, and start accomplishing those goals. And then I started attacking those goals.
Kadish began to land small roles on television shows like Who's Got Jokes? And That's So Raven.
Treat everything gift shopping as if you had a choice.
In 2013, she played a recurring role on the BET series Real Husbands of Hollywood, starring Kevin Hart.
Look like more than just your phone died.
But Tiffany's breakthrough came just 2 years ago with a scene-stealing role as Dina in the 2017 hit movie Girls Trip.
I just want to say
No.
That fall, another big moment, as Kadish hosted Saturday Night Live in a historic performance that earned her an Emmy Award.
Oh, my friend told me, Tiffany, you a star now. You did time, you balled out of control. And I'm looking at my bank account, I'm like, Once it was all done, I was just like, okay, I made that history.
Yes.
Because that was history. I mean, I was the first African American female stand-up comedian to ever host, which I thought was crazy because I just knew what the Goldberg did, but she just appeared with some sketches.
She hosted.
Never hosted. I thought one of the sites did it. I called all that. Everybody that I'm like, the great, the best, like, no. It's like, Google it. And I'm look through the archives, look at every episode. I'm like, wow, I'm literally about to make history. All you want to do is first black woman in the cycle. Ooh, yeah.
Do you ever stop and go, wow, the last 2 years have been insane for me?
Well, every morning when I wake up, I'm like praying, thankful, and grateful. So I was trying to find the good in everything. And some days I'm sad. I mean, I'm tired as hell right now. I'm good.
And in a surprise twist, Kadish's skyrocketing career may be headed next
or Japan?
Dijo una vez que se iba a estar más caro.
No, it's-
She's asking me to speak up.
where'd you pick that up?
Well, I went to Japan to copy the truth. I started watching Japanese television and I was like, man, this is pretty intense, especially the soap operas. And I didn't see any black people on the soap operas. And I thought, oh, what if I'm the first African American to be on a Japanese soap opera? That would be dope as hell. So when I came back to the States, I got Hensley's Japanese 101. And I started playing those discs in the car, sitting traffic, you know, LA traffic, you sit in the car for 2-3 hours at a time.
What happened to Japanese soap opera?
I'm just waiting for a call.
Are you listening, Japanese soap operas? We need to make this happen. The Kitchen is in theaters now. Our big thanks to Hold Fast Kitchen and Spirits here in New York for hosting our conversation. To hear the entire unedited interview with Tiffany Haddish, and there's a lot in there, check out the Sunday Sit Down podcast. You can find it on Apple Podcasts or wherever you get yours. And next week, we revisit a classic Sunday Sit Down with the one and only David Letterman. David and I talk about the state of comedy, what he's been up to since he left the air, and we do a little fly fishing in between. David Letterman, next week on Sunday Today. But first, let's get a chat with your local weather.
Well, it's a nice day out there, blue skies out there. Just a beautiful looking Sunday, and it's going to be like this all day long. Now, temperatures right now, nice. Upper 50s out in Shenandoah Valley. We're in the 70s right now in the district. That north wind bringing in some of that nice dry air, not that humid air mass. Humidity does return tomorrow, 60s and 70s out there. We are heading into the mid 80s today. We'll be a little warm, but it's going to be beautiful, as I said. Humidity tomorrow, rain returns Tuesday.
Next on Sunday Today, a question the country has asked many times in the wake of mass shootings: will something finally change? A group of politicians at the local level are not waiting for Washington. We're back in just 60 seconds.
This is not just a headache. This is not just a headache. This is not just the flu. It's meningitis B. And we're not there to help. While meningitis B is uncommon, when symptoms appear, they can progress quickly and can be fatal, sometimes within 24 hours. Before you send your teen to college, make sure you help protect them. Talk to your teen's doctor about meningitis B vaccination.
This summer at Panera, we're going all in on strawberries. And the reddest, ripest, they make everything better. Like your strawberry poppy seed salad and new strawberry summer surprise salad. Order online for delivery. Panera. Food as it should be.
The conversation around gun safety in America is familiar and often frustrating. In the days after yet another horrible shooting like those in El Paso and Dayton, you'll hear terms like universal background checks, assault weapons ban, and red flag laws.
Girl, besides listening to music, isn't pop. That's just first.
Things about Rick what
I'm making it for London.
So many challenges.
They traveled 4,000 miles, pedaling across 17 nations over 60 days. But finally, they arrived at 40 sites in the Islamic world. Their trip is also raising money for the Free Appeal Fund, which is a charity which helps build up infrastructure in Pakistan, Sri Lanka, South Africa, and also Uganda. It took a village of first responders and a helicopter to pull off a rescue in Southern California.
It's very challenging because of the location. We haven't had it difficult because usually we can get them up, tripod, or glide them up with a special one-time glide.
All right, what's going on here? The people on the ground ended up calling in air support to rescue Sonny the horse. The 30-year-old horse weighed almost 1,000 pounds and had tumbled down the hill after getting stuck along the fence line. The horse was struggling to right itself, so rescuers sedated and a big line with him before the chopper lifted him out of the canyon. Sonny was still feeling the effects of the sedative afterward.
At a gallery in Birmingham, Alabama, is more than just a grown-up space we enjoy and has the toys. She also didn't exist for Ken. She didn't exist for G.I. Joe. She was very much her own woman and created her own spaces. Part of the city's art museum has been made over into a Barbie greenhouse. And it goes far beyond simply just celebrating the 60th anniversary of the iconic doll. Almost all of the artists who created this are women. And they also examine the fun aspect of the classic princess and an image that Barbie is a feminist champion of 2019. Can I just say, I'm a huge Barbie fan. Like, I'm essentially a collector of Barbie growing up. This is so awesome to be able to walk back in and to see what the underlying message of also Barbie's got about it. It's also fun, changing it from how we choose that first person. Like now she is the feminist and everything for her and stuff like this. And then they start to make skipper and horses and hounds. Oh my gosh, oh, they're on an airplane. Yeah, they're on a plane day. That's so bad. Now it's dinosaurs, outside the plane today. Yes, all kinds of cool stuff. Complete opposite. All right, we can get outside with the kids or with the dogs or with your friends and family. You can take the patios off just that. Today, 71 is easy right now. It's 67 and rock to one trip today. 83, 87 degrees, high pressure, keeping the sun in, keeping the rain out. This is going to look like the next few hours. We're up to about 78 by 10 a.m., 80 by noon, 84 by 2 o'clock, and 85 by about 4 o'clock this afternoon. You will see sun on all of those hours. All right, let's talk about headlines because the heat is going to return tomorrow. Yeah, we're not going to get a long period before that heat makes its way back. We're talking 9th is Monday. Severe weather is possible Tuesday, and then we're also looking at hot and humid conditions on Tuesday. Tuesday may or may not be your favorite day of the week. The heat index Tuesday will make it feel like we're roughly at 100 degrees. And at 94, we add some humidity to that. It definitely feels like it's just a little bit sticky out there for us on Tuesday afternoon. Area-wide, you can see that Manassas, the Republic of Fredericksburg also feels like we're roughly around 100 degrees. Southwest winds just coming in. That warm air will also have some moist air in place. All right, so here's today, 3:30 in the afternoon. We're looking at some scattered sunlight. Not many clouds, rather. Monday, temperatures return to the 90s. Still don't see that rain chance will materialize. Tuesday at 10 a.m., we're looking at potentially some light showers. Honestly, I think it's the afternoon you're looking at the bulk of the stronger severe storm. At that point, we've got the heat of the day. We also have a lot of moisture to work with and some energy that's going to be available as well to give us these stronger severe storms. So this is going to be Tuesday at 3:30 p.m. It's maybe our kids, maybe just heading home from work, just out and about. We're running into that 5, 6 o'clock in the evening. Also got those pockets of heavy rain. Kind of watch these storms maybe slowly and maybe some rain situation. We can also see some flooding occurring as a result of this. So Tuesday is going to be our day to watch. It will likely be our next yellow alert day. The Storm Mission Center already has this in the slight risk category for severe storms. The main threats I'm looking at damaging winds, large hail. Kind of watch out for that with these storms as they make their way in Tuesday evening and Tuesday afternoon. It's all because we've got some low pressure and a cold front approaching the area. These features will serve as a trick to tap into that warm moist air and give us that risk for severe storms. All right, here's a Sunday forecast. 86 today, 92 on Monday, Tuesday, 94 with showers and storms. Right around 90 on Wednesday. We'll keep an eye on this storm in the forecast there. Even on Thursday, the temperatures gradually improve behind that front. Right around 88 on Friday, with 86 on Saturday. We do have high pressure returning Friday and Saturday, so that's going to be another dry weekend heading our way next week. Until this past week, the hot topic for Democrats on the campaign trail have been healthcare, immigration, and trying to oust President Trump. Well, now gun violence is center stage after the mass shootings of Dayton and El Paso. Faith Nation with Mark Brennan joins us now with more on the shift in priorities. Good morning, Margaret.
Good morning to you, Ellen. And years ago, it was unusual to see virtually every single Democratic candidate embrace gun control as a major issue. But that's exactly what is happening. We flew out to Iowa yesterday to speak with the billionaire, former New York City Mayor Michael Bloomberg, who hosted a gun sense forum where nearly every candidate came to talk about what they would do as commander-in-chief
to stop these kind of almost regular mass killings this country is going through. We spoke to him, and we'll speak to 3 other candidates who are actually running to defeat President Trump: Vermont Independent Senator Bernie Sanders, Colorado Senator Michael Bennet, and Kirsten Gillibrand of New York. They will all make their case. We will also speak to a victim of violence himself, a Republican, the House Whip, Steve Scalise, who believes, he says, more now than ever in the Second Amendment. He will make the case as to why we should not necessarily be embracing some of these legislators. With all of that ahead, however, I know a lot of people think about this, particularly as they get ready to send their kids back to school. We will talk about what Congress might be doing when they come back into session in the fall as well.
Right. Speaking about Congress, there was a lot of pressure to come back to DC here to DC already. Looks like it's going to be next month. Do you think the pressure to pass gun control legislation will have lessened by the time they do come back together? Some of it may have to do with what these elected representatives hear when they go back home to their districts. Will their constituents bang the drum on this and say, no, this time needs to be different? We have seen a change in public opinion. Our latest CBS poll, which was 6 out of 10 Democrats say they want to see some reform here. A majority of Republicans and Democrats in the wake of Parkland said they supported things like stricter background checks. So popular opinion has been changing. Does that change what their elected representatives will do or are willing to do?
What's the season high from this rookie year?
This is a little side ball. I might have.
He's a hypocrite. Inappropriate and things that are just ignorant that the vice president said. On top of the fact that this seems to be the statement on numerous occasions about timing and policy. He was not vice president at the time of Parliament. And so I think what the Democrats have to do, when you look at those polls and you see who's leading, that's the face of the Democratic Party, juxtaposed to the squad. That is the internal debate they're going to have. Is Joe, Vice President Biden, and all of this true gas, really the person who wants standing on stage next to Donald Trump? All 3 of those people, Biden, Warren, Sanders, will take them all. President Trump will definitely lose to them.
I think William went through it.
Yes, pale in comparison with Donald Trump. That's something he did today. I think what's going to happen is this stuff will get sorted out in the primary process. I don't think
Okay, you think like somebody else? All right, we're going to have to see how this develops, guys. More than a year, but it'll go by really fast. Gentlemen, thank you so much. We're going to join my Paris dinner and what I get this morning. Thank you, guys.
For a limited time, ARS Rescue Group will buy back your old inefficient HVAC system and we take up to $1,500 off your new heating and cooling system purchase. Visit ARSinvirginia.com.
Call the ARS Rescue. Here's your deal, sir. Actually, that's the news.
Who's cash and make all in.
what is it like to sit in the street and look up and see yourself?
Exactly. No question. There's a hometown hero. But we wonder how we're going to keep Zach in Palm Beach. How we do this. My father's have to move. We might have to move. Yeah. Lower the actions. Fix it. For a Sunday today, Harry Smith, Palm Beach, Florida.
Zach, you are man. We can't wait to see what you do next. Harry, thank you very much. This week we highlight another life well lived. The term author feels insufficient to describe Nobel laureate Toni Morrison. She was a lyrical historian who described the human pain of being Black in America through the generations. Morrison was born the granddaughter of a slave and raised poor in the 1930s and 40s in an Ohio steel town. After graduating from Howard University, she became a college English professor. In 1964, she took a job as an editor in the textbook division of Random House Publishing. A short time later, Morrison was promoted to senior editor, where she played a crucial role in cultivating African-American authors and elevating their voices into the American conversation. Morrison was nearly 40 years old when, in 1970, she published a novel of her own, a classic called The Lewis I. Her best known work is the Pulitzer Prize winning 1987 book Beloved, which also became a movie starring Oprah Winfrey. It tells the heart-wrenching story of a slave mother haunted by the decision to take her baby's life rather than to have the child grow up in slavery. In 1993, Morrison won the Nobel Prize for Literature. In 2012, President Barack Obama awarded her the country's highest civilian honor, the Presidential Medal of Freedom. President Obama said of Morrison this week, her writing was a beautiful, meaningful challenge to our conscience and our moral imagination. What a gift to breathe the same air as her, if only for a while. Oprah adding, she was our conscience, our seer, our truth teller. Toni Morrison, whose writing confronted us with important, uncomfortable truth, died on Monday in the Bronx, New York. She was 88 years old. Very delicious, good function, good solution. So the only
Wow, thanks, Sultan. How can I ever repay you?
That's lady. Taxi. On your pay.
Go back to school with an extra 15% off at Kohl's. Save on graphic tees and dorm essentials. Backpacks are 50% off, plus an extra 15% off. Plus, save even more on your back-to-school purchase. Plus, get Kohl's Cash. Plus, free Amazon returns now at all Kohl's stores. Kohl's.
Tremfya helps adults with moderate to severe psoriasis gain clearer. And Tremfya is proven superior to Humira in providing significantly clearer skin.
Don't use if you're allergic to Tremfya. Tremfya may lower your ability to fight infections and may increase your risk of infections. Before treatment, your doctor should check you for infections and TB. Tell your doctor if you have an infection or symptoms or if you have a vaccine or plan to. Serious allergic reactions may occur.
Tremfya, get clearer. Janssen can help you explore cost support options.
Where does your almond milk come from?
On the beach downstairs, it's our almond chaser. We got in Martini, California. My parents' job is to look after them, and it's my job to test the product.
The best almonds make the best almond. New Diamond Almond Milks. Dynamics that take your breath away. This feeling is all the time.
Here's your wheels.
Actually, that's not good.
How am I going to fit him on the wheel?
Easy.
I like that in the wheel.
Me too.
I was actually talking about that.
Buick's fresh new lineup is full of surprises. Current eligible non-GM owners and lessees get 20% below MSRP on most 2019 Buick models. For current eligible lessees, get this low mileage lease on this 2019 Encore for around $149 per month.
Ever since I was 5 years old, it's been all about football. It's been about running, jumping, blocking, tackling. I had terrible foot issues that prevented me from really having a normal life with my kids. With good feet, hard sports, man. I'm always ready. My kids actually got to enjoy me in the yard, racing each other, teaching them something.
Try it for yourself. For yourself.
Really? Hi, guys.
We like the gray.
It's car buying season, and we saw it online all year in advance. It's online will last for 2019, so by the time against work and Altima, Meridian, for all year in savings are full line. It's all possible financing of 6370 on road, or get 0% financing in 36 months on Altima. It's back down to the Food Sunday Mail, where we take your questions from Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. Our first question comes from Lori on Instagram. She wants to know, in honor of back to school, show us your favorite school picture. That's not a question, that's an order.
Yeah, Laura, that's a strong word. This is not my favorite picture. I cried all morning. There it is. Why did Mama Kelly put me in the multi? Come on, man. What were they doing? I think that was first grade. That's supposed to be yours.
Well, it's maybe not my favorite. It's the one I could find on short notice. That's, I think, junior or senior year in high school. The key thing to get it, oh, I'm
Sorry, I need to zoom in.
That's
I got an earring.
It
The
is
left
the
side.
Yep, senior year.
Really from the block.
Yeah, we had our entire football team got earrings. The best part was everyone did like jammed it through their ears, at somebody's house. My mom was like, "You get one, but I'll take you to the salon with me." So my rebellious act was to go with my mother to like a nail salon and get a
But how long were we rocking this earring, Billy?
full year.
You took it off this morning before you came on air. Stop. Something.
My earring phase. Another one from Cindy on Instagram. She asks, "Oh, I love this. Which NBC colleague would you want on your dodgeball team with?"
Now, I would start to say you because you are the tallest among everyone. However, I'm not with Al Roker. Clear Al Roker.
Sure.
Yeah, he's got the commitment.
He does.
I feel like he'd be committed to the game.
Yes.
And he would talk the appropriate amount of smack to my
Yes.
opponents.
For all his cheer and sunshine, he's got some intensity.
He's got, I like that. What
I
about you?
honestly would say you because you're athletic.
Oh,
He's got that whip motion coming out. But I'm going to go with Dylan Dreyer. Dylan Dreyer.
Dylan's good.
She is really competitive.
She's fierce.
Yeah. We got more of your Sunday Today mugshots this week. Thank you, Vic. In Tanzania, at the entrance of Serengeti National Park, that's a first. Brian, his adorable little girl, Skylar, and yes, her Cheerios in Cambridge, Massachusetts, and Charles in Orlando, Florida, who sent this photo of his greatest inspiration.
You're thinking about how that will go away with diet.
First month of YouTube.
It's carbine season, and we saw it all.
You're going to need me. You're going to need us. All of us. You're going to need our technical skills, our math, our engineering skills. You're going to need our help with your water, your air, your food. You're going to need our organizational skills, our problem-solving skills. You're going to need our determination, our honesty, our compassion. You're going to need the next generation of leaders to face the challenges the future will bring. And we promise we'll be there when you need us.
You're watching WGLA 24/7 News on your side of Maryland.
This morning calls for unity after a week of heartbreak. The gathering of the National Mall that's inspiring change. And the future against the case against pedophile Jeffrey Epstein after the millionaire was found dead in his jail cell. Plus, he's moving and grooving and drawing a big crowd. The story of this local star who's just 6 years old.
From WGLA 24/7 News, this is Good Morning Washington on your side.
Good morning, I'm Tim Barber. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. It's not a typical muggy summer day, but it's not going to stay this way for long. Meteorologist Alex Liggett is here with all you need to know to start your week. Alex?
Yeah, and Tim, you hit it right on the head there. We have just beautiful conditions. Take a look this morning. This is looking towards the Key Bridge there. Tony River looks just beautiful. Blue skies, barely even cloud in the sky. In temperatures very comfortable this morning. 68 degrees in D.C., 74 in the warmer spots by the Bay in Annapolis, 63 Leonardtown, 62 Fredericksburg. Yeah, they're heading back to school tomorrow. Now remember that as well. We'll, of course, be down there live for Good Morning Washington on the road. Temperatures back in the 50s just to the south end.
We'll show you the present and future of hearing aids, loud and clear.
Then it's on to Alina Cho, who is showing us a fashion statement that's quite literally at your fingertips. Try walking on the set of the TV show Claws without the right set of, well, claws. This is so. I don't want to talk about that set. I want to because I like her color. Thank you. Thank you. But if you gave me a little extra, I would do that. Manicures that are masterpieces later on Sunday morning. Our Sunday profile this morning is of Julianne Moore, the Hollywood appears to have aced the challenge of silver screen longevity. She's one of Hollywood's most prolific actors with 75 plus film credits. What's her secret?
I like to work. I love it. You have a particular interest in the patient's x-rays?
Oh my God, I always hear you still interested in doing it. But it shows. Even though you're an actor. That's what everyone Julianne Moore on film, family, and furniture.
This one ahead.
Think mermaids are a nautical myth? Faith Saley will be along to insist that they're real and making a splash.
Julie, no!
From swim classes.
The message being sent is more.
They need to get some answers out relatively quickly. Again, the Attorney General has demanding answers.
Let's broaden out the conversation with Tommy Young's Chief National Correspondent, also Kimberly Melvin Orozco, leading expert witness on human trafficking, and our Chief Legal Analyst Dan Abrams. And Tom, this comes on the heels just on Friday, massive cache of documents implicating many people in the Jeffrey Epstein scam.
George, the timing is so suspicious. This comes just one day after those documents were unsealed. We're talking about 2,000 pages of court documents that were previously sealed in a defamation case against one of Epstein's accusers, against one of Epstein's former associates, Ghislaine Maxwell. Now, what we know is that in these documents, some major bold-faced names came out. This accuser claims Epstein told her to have sex with former New Mexico Governor Bill Richardson, former Senator George Mitchell, and Prince Andrew as well. Now, we know all of this. These men have denied this, saying that is not true, but these names came out. She also said, we've heard so much about his massages with Jeffrey Epstein. She says that was code for sex, but the pressure clearly was on.
Pressure is on. We're also hearing from some of the victims, including Michelle Licata. Let's take a listen.
I really wanted justice. I really wanted him to take up for what he did and to be put in jail or prison and have to sit there and think about what it is he exactly did to so many people.
Kimberly, this is just one of many victims, and accusers, I should say, who are just outraged.
Absolutely. And for these victims, they really wanted to see him go through the court process. They wanted to see that conviction. They wanted to see him taken to task for everything that they alleged he had done to them. And now they're not going to see that. And I think that it's one of the things that victims that do come forward, they want to see it carried out to the end, and they feel like it was cut short.
And as you pointed out, including in this case many years ago, sometimes these cases are hampered because of reluctant witnesses.
It can be reluctant witnesses, but it also can be a victim credibility gap. One of the things that jurors often don't understand, and one of the reasons why I serve as an expert witness, is because these victims can go back to their families, they can go to school, they can act in ways that make them seem like consenting participants when all the while they've been mentally manipulated, coerced, deceived, and exploited. So they sometimes behave like consenting participants when in fact they are true victims of sex trafficking and exploitation.
Dan, the U.S. Attorney is making clear this case is not over.
Right, so the criminal case against Jeffrey Epstein is over. But the U.S. Attorney, the same office that filed the charges against Epstein, is making it clear that they're continuing to investigate the conspiracy. Meaning, if you actually read the indictment of Epstein, even there, it mentions 3 other employees who were assisting in some way, shape, or form. So it is clear they're going to continue investigating the conspiracy aspect. Who else might have been helping Epstein all this time? And there could still be additional charges, and we may see a lot of the facts that people are saying will never be heard or never be seen now come out.
Also see civil cases against the state.
Well, that's right. So people are asking, what happens to all his money, et cetera. Just because he dies doesn't mean that various people can't sue his estate. But remember, any new cases still face statute of limitations questions, particularly in the state of Florida, where some of this allegedly happened. You've got a real issue there with regard to some of the things that happened maybe in 2004, 2005, 2002. You could have real statute of limitations problems in filing new lawsuits in the state of Florida, but civil lawsuits definitely will continue on the whole against the Epstein estate.
You mentioned conspiracy, but the U.S. Attorney is investigating also on conspiracy theories online. One propagated by President Trump himself. He retweeted a tweet that seemed to suggest that Bill Clinton was somehow complicit in the death of Jeffrey Epstein. It shouldn't go without remarking it. Kind of stunning that the President of the United States is accusing his predecessor, one of his predecessors, of complicity in murder. And the fact is, Tom, I know she spent a lot of time looking at the Jeffrey Epstein case. He had relationships both with Bill Clinton and Donald Trump.
That's right. We really
I have to be very clear about this. These conspiracy theories have no proof. The logic of that tweet was Bill Clinton had a relationship with Jeffrey Epstein, so he may be behind this. President Trump also had a relationship going back 15 years. They were friends. They socialized together. They did have a falling out. Bill Clinton traveled many times with Jeffrey Epstein aboard his private jet to long trips to Asia, Europe, and Africa when he was working with the Clinton Foundation. But Bill Clinton said he had no idea about these terrible crimes. I do want to make another point, though, George. We've been investigating this case for years now, Jeffrey Epstein. The suicide may shock us, but people who know Jeffrey Epstein say he lived like a prince, right? He traveled in private jets. He had his private island. He would wear shirts when he wanted to discard them. They said he was going crazy, likely in that concrete cell, and probably wanted to take his life.
He talks about his wealth. You know, conspiracy theories, whether it was someone trying to do this to him or whether he engineered this himself using his money.
Right, and I think that's going to be the question, right? What's going to be clear, I think, is that there's going to be some kind of assistance that he got. Does it mean someone turned away? Does it mean someone turned off the camera? Does it mean, we don't know. But he could not have simply just, I don't think, killed himself without any kind of assistance in some way, shape, or form from someone at the jail. That does not mean, however, that there was a murder, that someone ordered an assassination, etc. I mean, there are two very different things. One is the possibility of just negligence at the jail, which I know people are going to find this hard to believe. There are problems in jails, even in jails like this. There are issues that arise, etc. But I think the notion to take that and say, oh, well, this must have been a hit, that's a totally different level.
But all the more reason for the Justice Department to get to the truth.
George, at this point, no one is ruling anything out. When I talked to sources yesterday, normally people are telling me, Pierre, be conservative in this area. Don't jump to any conclusions. They said this could be anything. Precisely because this is the exact kind of man who should have had eyes on him all the time. Period. End of story. And the question is, why were eyes on him?
But we know this remarkable situation where the president is basically has with his own Justice Department. How does the Justice Department respond to the President of the United States sending this stuff around?
Well, they will ignore it and they will move forward. But I can tell you, precisely because of the conspiracy theories that are already out there, there was interest in the Justice Department in having this thing be safe and go through the process for justice.
Okay. Thank you all very much. When we come back, the latest mass shootings transformed the campaign trail this week. We're live from Iowa next.
Dear Jack, let's talk. Well, I have a pretty good relationship. You've done a lot of good for the world. I feel like we have the potential to do so much more. Can we build AI without lives? How do we bring security into everything we do? We need tech that helps people understand each other. And understands my business. That's important. And we need your help. We need your support. Let's expect more from technology. Let's get smart.
Normally take to the cleaners aren't dirty. They just need a quick refresh. Try new Febreze Clothing Quick Dry Mist. It eliminates odors and refreshes lightly worn clothing.
I found a way to relieve my constipation that's both gentle and fast. New Delta-Lax liquid works naturally with the water in my body to provide gentle relief in as little as 30 minutes. New stimulant-free Delta-Lax liquid puts you comfortably in control.
Senate could have come forward and said, let's take a look at this. You know that Chairman Graham, Lindsey Graham, and Dick Blumenthal, Connecticut have these red flag laws. We have to take a look at what the final product is. We're looking at that. The fixed NICS violation is being put forward, I believe, by Tony Coons, the Democratic Senator Delaware, is a Georgetown icon. Well, that's right. But the fixed NICS is important because they're actually, it would have stopped. It should have stopped some of these mass shooters in the past. But, this president did what presidents do. He went and he visited the victims. He went and thanked law enforcement and health professionals. He talked to many of the survivors, many of the victims' families. He and the First Lady expressed their condolences. He tried to heal a nation. He came out Monday morning and in no uncertain, unequivocal terms denounced hate, bigotry, racism, and yes, white supremacy. And he will continue to do that. But, when people say do something, we need to do something that's meaningful that will stop these mass shootings. Not something that makes makes us all safer.
2 minutes, 2 topics. North Korea, the president said he received a letter, a 3-page letter from Chairman Kim said that on Friday, tweeted this on Saturday. It was a small apology for testing short-range missiles, and as testing will stop when the exercises ended. I look forward to seeing Kim Jong-un in the not-too-distant future. He's tested missiles 5 times in 2 weeks. Why would you entertain the idea of doing that?
Because the president has made very clear he would like there to be denuclearization of the Korean Peninsula. As former President Obama told President-elect Trump, North Korea will be our most vexing, challenging issue. So this president dove in from the very beginning. He's met with Kim a few times. He has sanctions going on Korea.
Sooner, that means they can find a good deal on their affairs anywhere.
Consumer Report says all airline social media accounts and set up so that you will be notified immediately when. And the president has made very talk about transparency and accountability. He tweeted out that after the South Korea exercises are over or completed, that he and
120 minutes to live big. To get started, visit canilivebig.com today.
When he saw the Canary's voice, he was doing great until he got loud and pulled up. This was easy. Satan couldn't just knock to his feet like he did. No, it would be very tough. But if he could control his thinking, he would control it. Satan can't stop him.
Monday at Good Morning Washington.
That's the scene at the Iowa State Fair this week. The Democratic candidates there for the ritual snacking on grilled pork and fried Oreos. But this year, more
Like 30 minutes of phone calls.
They even have different presets for different sonic environments.
It's really looking forward to it.
Manager Alan Bowden says once they arrive, the team will practice a couple hours a day.
Just still kind of pinching myself that we're actually going.
Looking to win, but they can't make these fans any prouder. In Aldi, Virginia, Katie Kairos, ABC 7 News.
And Live South will play the Northeast Regional Champions on Thursday from everyone at WJLA 24/7. Good luck, guys. And NBA star Quinn Cook is back home in
We like to see now is just the ability to understand someone talking about the table for you in a restaurant. Why can't we make that? I think we have post recommend we're going to do that by predicting when I would be questions about that.
But even basic airlines cost a year and a leg. And this is why.
How much more?
2/3 of the price is all those doctors' services, testing, customization, and follow-up, all bundled in that price. But Frank Lynn became convinced that people with mild hearing loss don't need all that. They might be content with something more generic that costs a tenth as much. According to the present bill, so his team worked with Congress to successfully pass a new bill. For the first time, you'll be able to buy hearing aids over the counter. Effectively means by August of 2020 that we will have the ability for companies to basically sell hearing aids to other consumer companies like Bose, Samsung, Apple. They'll all enter the market. One, it helps the access, obviously, to go to prescription. Two, the costs will come way down, right? The 6 big companies who make hearing aids, take the direct aim to their prescription. Yes and no. It's an industry and profession and practice that's built up over the last several decades, and now we're instructing them. If we think hearing something in public health, then that's how we do things. The new law will create a new class of hearing aids, much less customized, but also much less expensive. They may resemble these devices. So it's a PSAPs, personal sound amplification product. Nicholas Green is an audiologist at the Johns Hopkins School of Medicine. These PSAPs are on the market today, but legally they can't be called or marketed as hearing aids. But when this new law kicks in, some of these things that we hear might now be allowed to be called hearing aids. I think several of these items on the table would meet the standards that will be set up.
Some of these over-the-counter devices have some pretty cool features too. I tried them out. This is super good. Oh, this is a microphone. Yeah. It's like kind of sick. Like this, and it's bulky, but then I see. It feels kind of cheap. You can't do that expensive. I think these retail at $79, $80. This is Bose. It's $5. Let's turn it on the device. Are these noise canceling? Yes, I'm listening. Because all of a sudden the general pace of the room went away. You yourself did the same. Yeah, and you compare these $200, $300, $400, $500 things, $multi-thousand hearing aids. And what was in control environment, they improve speech understanding about as well. And you can probably guess, the big hearing aid companies say they're not as good as their ones.
Restaurant or backgrounds of noise, they just don't perform.
Chris McCormick is the chief marketing officer at Starkey. So what's going to happen when people are allowed to buy hearing aids without AYL services?
The concern is people trying to self-diagnose, people trying to self-program, the products are these days. And the problem with that is everybody's hearing is different.
So everyone has the difference when you turn on.
Bottom line, the world of hearing aids is about to improve dramatically.
They recharge in their case.
Both at the expense of it, and thanks to that new law, over the counter.
I'm going to switch to the head.
In the meantime, if you're among the 80% who can use hearing aids but haven't looked into it, well, I'll give the last word to my dad. Are you able for a minute to imagine your life without the hearing aids?
I wouldn't use
Isolate myself and be at home very seldom go out would be dramatically difficult. But everybody.
It's time for a coffee. Get an instant.
I'm sure it takes a positive double.
But Dad, you've got
Allstate, but that's not the good news. They guarantee a rate 12-1 just because of an accident.
Smart kid.
Indeed. Are you a good hands?
This is not just a headache. This is not just a fever. This is not just the flu. It's meningitis B. And you're not there yet. While meningitis B is uncommon, when symptoms appear, they can progress quickly and can be fatal, sometimes within 24 hours. Before you send your teen to college, make sure you help protect them. Talk to your teen's doctor about meningitis B vaccination.
He goes down and seatbelts down to the parking lot. That's nice.
They'll send the wrong message. Sorry, I'll prevent them before they start with you down at Rainbow Gold. All media managers might seem the same, but some people clients cookie cutter portfolios. Fisher Investments tailors portfolios to your goals and needs. Some only call when they have something to sell. Fisher calls regularly, so you stay informed. And while some advisors are happy to earn commissions whether you do well or not, Fisher Investments fees are structured so that we do better when you do better. Maybe that's why most of our clients come from other money managers. Fisher Investments, clearly better money management.
And now a page from our Sunday morning home, August 11th, 1903, 116 years ago today. A day of instant gratification for coffee growers everywhere. For that was the day chemist Satori Kato of Chicago received a patent for his method of making instant coffee, a method that avoided the spoilage that more earlier attempts. Alas, his brand of instant coffee never achieved commercial success. But the many other brands of instant that followed did create a marketing buzz, not to mention a rich brew of TV commercials, as in this 1981 ad starring actress Laura Nicole. In fact, instant is so deeply steeped in our popular consciousness
In its absence, it was grounds for a public apology of sorts on the Seinfeld TV show.
I know. Go ahead, Jennifer, which Chris, would you put it in the coverage if you forget about it? Later on, when you need it, it's there. Last purpose, please try it.
Though instance will never true hawk's nods in French presses, it's likely to always be valued by the education among us present time. As the poet T.S. Eliot wrote in the love song, Jane, I have measured out my life with hawk's nods. Names. Looking sharp. Next.
This is a story about James country. Jobs, jump starts, and genealogy. This is Bob Namesy. His family's been here forever. My great grandparents, my grandparents, my dad, I was born here. Those are some deep roots. Now, Bo might have been the first to have to leave. I heard the jump start. Doers like Bo had hands-on technical training, provided from Chevron and local partners for jobs in the manufacturing energy industries. Chevron, finding better ways to help doers get the right skills for today's doer.
Kevin, meet your father.
Kevin.
Trusted advice from life.
Kevin, how's your mom?
Life well planned. See what a Raymond James financial advisor can do for you.
When skin gets dry, it shows. Gold Bond Radiance Remove is made for physically dry skin. Gently exfoliates, then coconut oil, shea, and cocoa butter moisturize to help prevent dry skin all day. Gold Bond Radiance Remove, Ultimate Lotion, Ultimate Skin.
The secret to a balloon you would be right at your fingertips. Or so say the artist David Chowers we're talking to. If ever there was an art form that was literally hands-on, it's nail art. Tiny brushes, tiny strokes, on teeny tiny canvases. For some, getting manicure these days is self-maintenance. More not repeat. Look at celebrities. Nails can be what nails are. Just that top dog, virgin, in the street of hair, makeup, nails, don't work on nails. Nails are like the icing on the cake. Nails have always been a way to express nail art. Even television is taken in cute. You know what people say that the eyes are equal to the soul? I think so. For me, it's nails. Claws, the TNT hit series about 5 funny lines of manicure, has a 6th character. The nail. We form gangster. We form Sanders. Easy now to play Solano, so it's no Sanders.
It's a funny thing because we all understand, you know, it's a good day in the series. The first thing you do
The Richie Tran is Virginia. How do the nails help you when you're in the character? Is that so like all the background hair. What's up my nail art and the wig? I'm like, the nails are such a big part of Claus show, now wrapping up its 3rd season, created its own nail department. I've never in my life. Morgan Dixon is the lead nail stylist. Because of the sheer amount of work, Dixon and her team prepare all of the nails in advance. I got it. Ready to pop on or switch out at any time. We always try to have some backups ready, just so we can like throw them on in between takes. So we can be good at That's true. How do you? I was gonna say.
The nail industry is an $8.5 billion business. There are more than 50,000 nail salons in the U.S. 3/4 of them offer nail art.
We look at our hands more than we look at anything else in this world, more than our own faces. I can't look at my face right now, but I can look at my nails.
And do you consider yourself an artist?
I do. I do.
And we only scratch the surface.
Nails are the ultimate form of expression.
Jan Arnold is head of CND, or Creative Nail Design, now owned by Revlon. She's responsible for bringing nail art to the fashion complex.
It was about 25 years ago. I remember looking through a photo and realizing that the hair, the makeup, the styling was all pulled together, but the digits were there. And I was really missing what nails bring to a total look.
Would you ever do a shoot without fabulous nail makeup? Fashion designer Johnson Harvey with the clothing line Libertine has been collaborating with Arnold for 7 years.
What I love about our relationship with Libertine is we have this artistic shared vision. We'll see what he's doing, he'll see what we're doing, and together we sort of like take it to another level. Do the honors.
Getting the nails ready for this show is no small feat. 600 hours.
Break a nail Friday night.
And by the time the models hit the catwalk, it's clear these tiny additions make a huge difference. Are you happy with the nails?
Who would you say to the detractors who say, big deal, nails, who cares? Well, I say you have 10, including your toes, 20 opportunities to thrill yourself every day. Nails are fun.
Still to come. We're indeed with mermaids. And later, this is bringing to receive actress Julianne Moore. In 1 week, a lot will happen in life.
This morning calls for unity after a week of heartbreak. We're gathering at the National Mall that's inspiring change. And the future against the case against pedophile Jeffrey Epstein after the millionaire was found dead in his jail cell. Plus, he's moving and grooving and drawing a big crowd. The story of this local star who's just 6 years old.
From WJOA 24/7 News, this is Good Morning Washington on your side.
Good morning, I'm Tim Harper. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. It's not a typical muggy summer day, but it's not going to stay this way for long. Meteorologist Alex Liggett is here with all you need to know to start your week. Alex?
Yeah, and Tim, you hit it right on the head there. We have just beautiful conditions. Take a look live out this morning. This is looking towards the Cube Ridge there. Potomac River looks just beautiful. Blue skies, barely even cloud in the sky. And temperatures very comfortable this morning. 68 degrees in D.C., 74 in warmer spots by the Bay in Annapolis, 63 Leonardtown, 62 Fredericksburg. Yeah, they're heading back to school tomorrow. Got to remember that as well. We'll, of course, be down there live for Good Morning Washington on the road. Temperatures back in the 50s just to the south and west. We're very comfortable start. Check out the dew points. This is the true level of the moisture in the atmosphere. Right now in the mid-50s. That is just pure comfort. You do not get that very often in the month of August in the D.C. area. So enjoy it while it lasts. Yes, it will be short-lived as of today. The temperatures are in the mid-80s.
The 37th annual Mermaid Parade at Coney and in Florida, your tail off the side, little mermaids worked on their team.
70s by 9 o'clock tonight.
Synagogues safe to make our nightclubs safe, to make our shopping centers and Walmarts safe from this kind of active terrorism. And the problem we have is in the White House is not somebody who's stepping up and saying we're going to deal with this, put the resources, energy We have someone who's actually adding to it, who's contributing to this kind of divisiveness and these kind of dark forces in our nation through his own rhetoric, through the way he talks about Americans, through the bigotry that passes through his lips, that incites white supremacists to literally use his language in their chat rooms to further activate this kind of hate. We have so much work to do in this nation on these issues, and we have a president who is failing us through everything he's doing. Worse than that, he's contributing to the problem.
You're in Iowa. Most of the Democratic candidates are there this week. Got to ask you a political question. The latest poll coming out shows you're down to 1% in Iowa from 3% back in April, according to the Monmouth poll. How do you break out of the bottom of the pack? Is the clock ticking for you?
Well, I'm not actually a small polls with margin of error is so high as capturing so much attention when history shows that the polls aren't predictive. The kind of things that are predictive is where we're leading. We're leading on endorsements from Iowa state legislators. We're leading on endorsements from mayors and city council people. More than that, we're building an organization that folks around here, from the Des Moines Register to others, say the best organizations on the ground are mine and Senator Warren's. You know this from past polls, and people like John Kerry won, who's polling at 4%, won Iowa. So we are very confident in how we're doing. We're getting big crowds at our events. We're getting tons of people to sign committed to caucus cards, and we still have 6 months to go. This is still a long way out. As a guy who used to play football, I call this August double days before we even get to preseason games. This is a long way to go before we get to the game time, so to speak. And we're doing the work to build a winning campaign here in Iowa, and I believe we will.
We will be watching this ahead of the game time. Senator Cory Booker, thanks very much for your time this morning. Roundtable's up next. We're back in 60 seconds.
Yeah, right. Sure. Guns worries people because at a time when people feel uneasy across the country, the last thing they want to be talking about is disarming themselves or having their own rights in any way trampled. Tim Ryan said that people opposed to these proposals that he's talking about, that their response is they want to do nothing. Well, that's absolutely not true. You can go around and talk to any governor in America, and first of all, they're absolutely devastated by what has happened. Second thing is, they do want to do something. They want to enforce the laws that we have. If those laws
Millions of their children were released and given court dates instead, but others are afraid they may not see loved ones ever again. There are also questions about whether the employers here will be in trouble. The newly unsealed government affidavit shows that at least 2 of the companies willfully employed the undocumented workers.
A tribute to people who came to the U.S. illegally and have since been deported is going on from the border of Mexico. Artists are painting their faces on the murals, so they include a deported U.S. veteran and mothers with children who were born in the U.S. The muralist grew up with friends and neighbors who came here illegally. He hopes that through his artwork, people will see that deportees belong to both countries.
And Art About the Nation is going to be the main topic on Meet the Press this late show. Talking Canada will break down the political fallout from last weekend's mass shootings. Plus, he's going to have an interview with presidential candidate Kamala Harris. That all starts at 10:30 right here after News 4 today.
This weekend, residents got a chance to sound off about Amazon's proposed warehouse coming to their community.
That's right. The fulfillment center will be built in the West Valley neighborhood of Prince George's County. Residents are weighing its pros and cons at a community meeting. Derek Ward, Derek Ward, was there with a spirited discussion.
This is our time. Right now is our time.
They built keys at West Valley United Methodist Church to organize against the planned by development. Build an Amazon warehouse. Warehouse concept was promised.
We have elected officials who make decisions about land use in this county without input and without engagement, meaningful engagement from the individuals who live here.
The developer promises that it will bring about 1,500 jobs and attract other businesses. On its stress, it's still a warehouse.
We all have a job, we're well educated, we're a community. That alone should be able to be a catalyst for retail. We got to eat every day, we got to shop every day. Amazon should not be the driving force.
As Prince George's County become more economically viable, battles like this become more common. Places like Woodmore and Brandywine. The
folks here in Australia are looking for veterans of those battles to help. It worked for the project. It would work with county pressure. County councils provide proposals for a new change in infrastructure.
The county council voted to deny the applicant's request for a water and sewer category change, and that was critical.
Right now, the Route 1 Westphalia is looking at a court challenge to a zoning change to their project, along with the public information list. They say it's not just about them. Why? In these specific areas. Eric Ward, he's for.
And again, the developer has told you for the business will bring new jobs to Westphalia and will encourage more businesses to open there. All right, coming up next on News for Today, we are introducing you to this week's Harris's Hero. We're going to take out one group. It's going to be transformed into a school health. School teaches health education, and their story is just ahead on News for Today.
Getting for school can be stressful.
News for Today is here to help. It's news whether it's help if you need the second you wake up.
We're working for you from 4 to 7 a.m.
And Metropolitan Battery Power, we never touch them. If there's a better quality material, we use it. If there's a better installation process, we do it. And Metropolitan, there's only one way to do it, and that's the right.
All right, so this is how it's going to go down. You are going to say, you'll get the best deal of the year on Xfinity, and you even get this. Mike, you're on the list. Sarah, you're going to high five everybody. Then you're going to be wild with your dance moves. Don't miss the Xfinity Best Deal of the Year. And it's simple, easy, and awesome. It's an amazing deal on the ultimate experience. It's the best deal of the year. You'll get huge savings with a free speed upgrade for a year and $100 back. And ask about even more savings with Xfinity Mobile. Quick call and visit the store today.
Guys,
We like that.
it's Carbine season at Nissan's bottom line model year event. In the bottom line, relax those green-eyed teams like the all-wheel drive Altima and Rogue. Hurry, for model year in our full line. Get yours at financing 36 months on Altima or get 20 possible finance savings of $63.70 on Rogue.
And Metropolitan Battery Power, we never touch them. The modern year battery break the first time is always less expensive than doing road damage. So call us at 1-800-UBAT. Battery Unit. It's what we do, it's all we do.
Welcome back. Our kids spend so much time in front of screens these days, so it's important that they get exposed to programs that teach them about physical, nutritional, and mental health.
And for family care, it's usually families, right, that go police. Or the police can go in. And I know those put a lot of emphasis.
Ceases, it will never die. It's eternal. Now your body is corruptible, but your spirit and soul are incorruptible, and they are eternal. And they're going to be on this earth until you will leave this earth, and then they're going to be in heaven or hell, but they're going to be alive. And
Yeah, first of all, I think in the first, right now, it's way too quick to say that. And there's a mismatch. Let's be honest what we're talking about. There's the policy that Patrick talked about, which is the assault ban worked. It expired in 2005 under George Bush, and there was no real push to keep it going.
That definition.
So let's finish. Second is what is doable in the legislative branch. Part of being leadership is matching policy and politics together. Does it mean that you narrow down this quickly? I would not. I would also add to the issue, it's very clear that there's a lot of holes as it relates to domestic violence abuse and the relationship to guns. And before we go to background checks, which have a lot of details, red flags, I would say there are two other issues that should be part of this discussion. We're not going to let the discussion not only from the policy standpoint be narrowed, but from the politics. That is, there's a lot of issues that Republicans, they just want to get this issue as quickly as possible off the table. My view is this is a moment to fundamentally change the safety of the American country.
This is a moment. And either you're going to take a deal or you're not going to take a deal. And you got
That's all right, sir.
course, that also applies below. You're either going to take and make progress or you're not.
Well, that's right. And if the president is ready to make progress on things like background checks and red flag laws, if Democrats want to put politics ahead of no policy, they want the politics to get off the
talk about, but here's the thing, we can talk about an assault weapons ban or banning certain types of guns. This is such a multifaceted problem though, and it's important to know this because part of the reason for the rise of these incidents is the feedback loop that is being created on the internet where people who are vulnerable go online, feel validated. This has to be solved through technology. There's mental health issues that need to be addressed. And yes, there are some things that need to be done relative to access to guns by mentally unstable people.
What you did mention there is also the letter that comes right from the top. This is what.
And I think that's fair.
And the research shows there's no real causal relationship between the mental health issues and these mass.
Oh, that's not true. That's not.
The letter from the top matters here. And a person in the United States has to understand that a moment like this is not an I moment in history, it's a we moment in history. And instead, we have a president who's creating photo ops, who's holding a baby, who's the survivor of the shooting, giving a thumbs up, who's attacking Democrats and politicizing this moment through the lens of an election. We don't have leadership right now. We want to talk about politicizing this moment. Beto O'Rourke last week, Patrick, has politicized this moment in an attempt. Beto O'Rourke is not the president of the United States. Beto O'Rourke is not president of the United States. Beto O'Rourke belongs to the United States. This is a moment, and the media is giving him time to do this, and he has politicized this moment in a way. What he should be doing is being a lot more thoughtful. I think this Senator Booker did. Now, you know, I don't want to agree with Senator he's thoughtful on the issue. But I can walk. It's, you know, some of us are old enough to remember that when we had a president of the United States in Barack Obama, and he dared to put his feet up on the Resolute desk in the Oval Office, conservatives and Republican leaders lost their hair and said that he was debasing the office. Now we have a president who, in this moment, has retweeted white supremacists, who has expressed sympathy for those who are espousing violent hatred in this country, and who have been inconsistent on being on this legislation. You have to focus there now.
Patrick is 100% right. A president of the United States has a responsibility with the office that comes in. Once you win that office and seek it, you have a responsibility to lead this country at every moment, from the Challenger, 9/11, Oklahoma.
Look, he's back on the website. Please,
Carfax has a better way. At Carfax.com, you get the most accurate price based on the Carfax report, so you never have to overpay on a used car. Stop the shame of overpaying and start your used car search today at Carfax.com.
If your gums bleed when you brush, you may have gingivitis, and the clock could be ticking towards bad breath, receding gums, and possibly tooth loss. Help turn back the clock on gingivitis with Parodontax. Leave bleeding gums behind. Parodontax.
So Josh, you going for a drive safe and safe discount?
Yep. Using the app, driving safe. Wanna go? Wanna go, bro? Hey, look, do not mess with my discount. You can save up to 30%. Let's go. Nice to meet you. Go get him, Tiger.
Sounds like you've got this.
Yeah, definitely.
Get a discount up to 30% with Drive Safe and Save from State Farm.
My mom likes to use the dishes before she puts them in the dishwasher. So what does the dishwasher do?
Cascade Platinum does the work for you. Pre-washing and removing stuck-on foods the first time.
Wow, that's great.
Cascade Platinum.
The world's greatest players right now in the FedEx Cup playoffs. Full coverage of the Northern Trust later today, right here on CBS.
Journalist, 130 feet below ground, lies the largest underground lake in the U.S. and American wonder to explore. Wednesday on CBS this morning.
It happened this past week. The loss of two creative giants
very different fields. We learned of the death earlier this month of D.A. Pickett, a filmmaker who changed the face of documentaries. Given the Holocaust War involved behind the scenes of that. His 1967 film, Don't Look Back, followed Bob Dylan on a tour of Britain. Years later, he turned his camera to the war, which viewed Bill Clinton's 1992 campaign for president largely through the eyes of his aides, George Stephanopoulos and James Carville.
I'd like to make this thing.
In 2012, he received an Oscar for Lifetime Achievement. D.A. Pickett was 94. Nobel laureate Toni Morrison died this past Monday in New York of complications from pneumonia. The author of 11 novels about the Black experience in America, Morrison chose her life's course years ago while a single mother with 2 young sons. And she told our Martha Teichner back in 2004.
What is that? That's so important. Two. The first is elementary, and the second is not.
Toni Morrison first won Wiseman edition with the novel Song of Solomon in 1977. 11 years later, her Civil War and Reconstruction era novel, Beloved, won her a Pulitzer Prize. Royal fans waited patiently in long lines at the book signings and filled auditoriums to bursting at her readings. She was awarded the 1993 Nobel Prize for Literature, the first African-American woman to win that honor. And in her acceptance speech, she praised the power of the written word.
Language alone protects us from the scariness of things.
Toni Morrison was 88. Dr. Carl Alvey. Ahead. He's got just the prescription.
Good morning. It's on. Get to the Rush You events even more at 20 to 60% off department store prices. Yes. Yep. Oh, seriously. Save on fall styles for women, men, boys, and girls at the Rush You event on that. Really? Hi, guys. We like the gray. It's car buying season at Nissan's bottom line model year event. In the bottom line, it lasts for 2019, so by the technical sport and Altima. Hurry for model year and sales on full line. A 12 months financing is 6370 on the road, while get 0% financing 36 months on Altima.
From the 5 a.m. readers to the 6 a.m. sleepers. It's true, never ends. Everyone uses their phone differently and in different places. That's why Xfinity Mobile created a different kind of wireless cover. One that's designed to save you money by auto-connecting to millions of secure Wi-Fi hotspots and the best LTE everywhere else. Xfinity Mobile. It's wireless reimagined. Simple, easy, awesome.
Here's your viewers. Actually, that's
How are we going to think about
This morning sports report. Have a great day. And a beautiful day for sports today. We have the Nationals playing this afternoon at 1 o'clock. That's what they're doing a bit better tonight.
Yeah.
Day for
I think we need to like run Danny Murphy. So, just for the Mets game.
Exactly.
He always crosses it. Now, we are expecting beautiful weather here to round out the weekend. Here's a live look at the Chesapeake Bay Bridge. You see it just traffic moving smoothly this morning. Always good. Also, pure blue skies. Just a perfect day out on the Chesapeake Bay this afternoon for boaters. Winds will be light, mainly out of the north, around 5 to 10 miles per hour. Now, here's a look at some of the morning lows this morning. Check this out. Frostburg, Maryland, Western Maryland, 49 degrees. That is a cold start out there, definitely for August. Now, granted, they're in elevation, and this isn't too atypical for Frostburg. 54, also Frostburg State University. So chilly there this morning, 56 in Rockville, 59 in Sterling this morning. So a cool start. That's still 50s in much areas west of the Appalachians. Elkins and around 55, 53, 55 right now in Pittsburgh. So a cool start there. Along 95, generally in the mid to upper 60s. We will warm up nicely in the mid and upper 80s later this afternoon. Check this out. I mean, full sunshine. We're not really the most difficult forecast. That is good, though. The Montgomery County Fair, hey, just fantastic conditions. Get out there, enjoy it, bring your family. Make sure you have the hat, the sunglasses, and the sunscreen. We'll surely need all of those. Forecast tonight, mainly clear. It will be very comfortable, 59 to 69 when you wake up on your Monday morning. We are looking ahead, though. Already looking ahead towards Tuesday. Do have a slight risk for severe storms in the forecast. That's something we're already looking ahead to for the beginning of the work week. We will have hot and a little bit more humid conditions as we get into Monday, but no storm.
With top grade loving over wood and metal frame, and it spoils you. With that,
Well, if I was actually getting to this point, I'm like, oh, it's part of this. Just one button, this one chain or this one.
Try this bitch.
You know, slap on the wrist, whatever it is that these folks are going to get. It's not going to make up. It's not going to well, it's going to happen. Because people are. I think it's more immediate. I think it's only that. I think that I got 3 guys here that you can do my eye. One is to a man. Oh, if I take this, who knows what can happen? I'm more likely to take that young man. What is to the young man? Well, that knows what it's because the bias is right. Exactly. They've been doing it for decades. Yeah. This was exactly what I was thinking. The time of the diet, how it affected in a way that's really anti-female, female conflict, paying off workers for having sex with them, which is not like that before, but I'm not waiting for we have never ever had a president like this. Oh, we did, and I'm next one. It's so kinds of things were nothing compared to one. No, I'm sorry. I'm a student of American history. There is nothing but this president. We just wanted to do it because but it's the actually tremendous. As I said before, I think just like this president, real opportunity to advance each other. You have to know that you people, we have to go to the I think we need to be done. Need to be able to decide this. Say, hey, one out of my background, that means for this division side. Sorry, we didn't get to financial literacy. We'll have that. I'm in that company. So please follow me on Twitter and visit our website, pdf.org/to-the-contrary, and whether you agree or think to the contrary. See you next week.
Funding for To the Contrary provided by the Cornell Douglas Foundation, committed to encouraging stewardship of the environment, water conservation, watershed protection, and eliminating harmful chemicals. Additional funding provided by the Wallace Genetic Foundation, the Colcott Foundation, and the Charles A. Freeman Foundation. For a transcript or to see an online version of this episode of To the Contrary, please visit our PBS website at pbs.org/To the Contrary. PBS.
One last business day. Conspiracies coming from I would like to find the outside. Sorry. Every time I make those solutions, it reminds me all the time. Everything that's wrong with this country. It's a clean issue of life. If we don't step in that next offenses, season one last business.
Tonight, on TV 26.
If they didn't get back to the 10% for the end of the lunar cycle, they never
on TV 26.
Are you ready to make the switch? Hello, I'm Patrice Pascal. If you're a sustaining member of WETA, why not take this opportunity to switch your sustaining membership from your credit card to an automatic deduction from your checking account? It's easy for you and it's the best thing for WETA. You don't have to worry about the fact your credit card expiring, and you'll help save WETA the credit card processing fees. Just call the number on your screen and have a check handy so we can collect all the information we need. Or go online to WETA.org. Make the switch today, and thank you.
How you do? I'm John Sebastian, and we're going to look back at some of the most popular songs in the folk era.
Well, let me tell you what the story. Charlie on the magic and faithful day. You don't believe so much over there.
Saturday at on TV 26.
Unfair Intentions USA. We explore the changing North Carolina through family photographs and stories. Build the weapons of mechanics and farming land. Both of you have referenced convention. Could you tell us about that?
I take away from their experiences here that life isn't easy, but it's okay.
Monday at 9 on TV 26. Tonight, a new season of The Heart Guide, followed by the season finale of Winchester. And it was the most famous ocean liner ever built, headed aboard the Queen Mary on great British royal ships. Tonight on TV 26. And on our WETA UK channel, savor the beauty of Yellowstone. Then it's more than just crowns and tiaras. Uncover tales from the royal wardrobe. Home from Mom. British television at its best.
Recently, This Is America and the World visited the Sultanate of Oman in the Middle East. Oman borders on Yemen, Saudi Arabia, and the United Arab Emirates. Qatar and Iran are also in the neighborhood. You may not know about Oman or confuse it with Amman, the capital city of Jordan, but you should know about this unknown treasure in the Middle East. In an area of controversy, conflict, and war, Oman is a safe country at peace with its neighbors and itself.
Strictly the spy for their country.
Hi, and I said hi in the other night, why have we tonight in the Dr. Rock? And then
Let us know that this is going to continue throughout the. Yeah, going to continue. Make your plans outside, guys. Okay. Get outside today because you can never do returns tomorrow. So this is one of the last technical tickets that we have, at least for the next 10 days. And I've got that 10-day forecast coming up just about 10:20 right after we talk to Chuck Todd. But let's go ahead and take a look outside right now because it is a beautiful, beautiful day out there. I was down, I told this to you yesterday, actually, I was down at Old Town Alexandria. They have sidewalk sales. So we're doing some outside shopping, perfect day for that. Lots of people were out and about yesterday, which they should be because, again, humidity is creeping in and rain chances are creeping up as we head into this week. 70s out there right now. Perfect out there on this Sunday morning, and even the afternoon's going to be beautiful. Temperatures will be in the mid-80s. That's maybe a degree or two cooler than we were yesterday, but I also believe we'll have a lot more sunshine today. We had this midday clouds yesterday. But again, all sunshine out there today. It's going to be a gorgeous, gorgeous day. But let's talk about the changes on the way. That heat index approaching 100 degrees this week. Hopefully, you know when. All right, well, thank you very much. Happening now on the GW Parkway. Traffic is moving along after a fatal crash shut down northbound lanes early this morning. No word on what caused the crash, but right now the scene is cleared and cars are moving again. It is certainly hard to believe that summer's almost over. It's almost September. It's crazy. Which means it's time to, of course, get the kids ready for class.
Some of us are ready to send a kid back to class. And if you need to buy back to school supplies, this week is a good time to start in Maryland. Our Derek Ward is live in the Tennessee Road with more on how you can save this week. Hey, Derek.
Hey, you know, this is one of those harbinger of fall and sort of consolation for the end of summer. And that is the Maryland tax-free week. Now, so you need a dress, some shoes, or either of those items, if you're less than $100, you won't pay the 6% Maryland sales tax for the rest of the week. This goes from today until midnight Saturday. And the hope is to bring people back into brick and mortar establishments. Now, it does apply to online sales if that purchase is made and delivered within this week of this tax-free break. It's going to cost the state about $6 billion. But again, giving folks a break for back-to-school shopping, well, that is indeed right. As a matter of fact, the only thing like accessory that is covered with this tax-free week are backpacks. So $40 or less of backpacks, you don't have to pay taxes on them. Again, for the rest of the week, a little bit of a boost to bricks and mortar, boost to families who are prepared to go back to school. We are live with that. Look forward to go back to you.
All right, Derek, thank you. Now to the latest in the shocking turn of events involving accused sex trafficker Jeffrey Epstein. A billionaire is now dead in a apparent suicide.
His death robbing his accusers of their chance to see him face justice in court. Epstein was found unresponsive in his Manhattan jail cell early yesterday morning. Multiple law enforcement sources telling NBC News that he hanged himself. His death comes just weeks after he was found injured in his cell. Epstein was put on suicide watch after that incident, but sources tell NBC News the 66-year-old was not on suicide watch at the time of his death.
Had he been taken off suicide watch, the question becomes why. I would want updates on him multiple times a day. And if my chief psychologist, program coordinator, was contemplating taking the inmate off suicide, I would certainly expect that issue to be discussed among the facilities, executive staff.
Now, in a rare public statement, Epstein's defense attorney spoke as a private citizen, blaming prosecutors, the press, jail employees, and judges for his death.
While Epstein's death marks the end of the criminal case against him, the Manhattan U.S. attorney said the investigation remains ongoing into his alleged crimes and others who may have been part of them. So legal experts say those people may be investigated by the federal government. Anything lawfully found in terms of documents at Epstein's home can be used in additional government investigations. Epstein's alleged victims can also continue with civil lawsuits against the financiers' estate.
Well, it is now been 1 week since the deadly mass shooting in El Paso, Texas, and as our community continues to heal, many are taking to the streets demanding tougher gun laws. Yesterday, demonstrators dressed in white to symbolize peace. They carried 22 wooden crosses representing each of the victims killed in the shooting. According to the arrest document, the gunman told police that he was targeting Mexicans at Walmart. Emotions are still raw in that tight-knit community.
You know, as a whole, as an entire city, as an entire family. So the shooting was more than just another massacre due to irresponsible gun reform. But I feel like it was just a big dent in our community as a whole, with American as a family.
Federal prosecutors are considering filing hate crime charges against their gunman.
A show of unity at the National Mall. Last night, organizers shut down hate and bigotry. Activists in Unity, Washington, D.C. rounded the supporters near the Lincoln Memorial. People held signs calling for love. The event featured speakers, music, prayers, and a lighting ceremony. Religious and spiritual leaders say the gathering was a chance to take a stand for all people. Another somber milestone this week. Tomorrow marks 2 years since neo-Nazis and white supremacists marched in Charlottesville. James Fields used his vehicle to plow into a crowd of protesters, killing Hannah Meyer. Fields was sentenced to life in prison. Virginia lawmakers marked the day yesterday with Governor Ralph Northam and Senator Tim Kaine both releasing statements reading, when Americans come face to face with violent racism, they can't downplay the threat, and it must be rejected and confronted.
Well, our Divided Nation is sure to be the main topic this morning on Meet the Press. Chuck Todd and a panel will break down the political fallout from last weekend's mass shootings, plus an interview with presidential candidate Kamala Harris. That all starts at 10:30 right here after News today. Hey, later this week, an Ohio man accused of threatening Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez on Facebook is expected to appear in court. Authorities say 41-year-old Timothy Ireland threatened to shoot and kill the congresswoman from New York. On Thursday, police searched his home. They found bullets, but no guns. U.S. Capitol Police along with federal authorities started the investigation last month after they became aware of that post.
So do you think you have to become a detective for the National Law Enforcement Museum? You can help you figure that out. And you'll get a chance to take home pretty nice prize. Then yesterday, the museum launched a new crime-solving game. Visitors are given a case file when they walk in. They then have to solve a series of puzzles in the museum's exhibits and identify 5 members of a gang called the Queen of Diamonds. Those who solve the crime will be entered into a drawing for a chance to win $25,000. That's fun.
As Amazon continues to move ahead with their plans for expansion in our area, yesterday people got a chance to sound off about the company's proposed warehouse. The fulfillment center will be built in the West Valley neighborhood of Prince George.
Going to cause people to look at you.
Gate neighborhood.
Cardiac stroke, pulling you away from everything that matters most. Because with high bad cholesterol, my risk of a heart attack or stroke is real. The path plus a statin seriously lowers bad cholesterol by 63%. It significantly drops my risk of having a heart attack or stroke.
Do not take Repatha if you are allergic to it. Repatha can cause serious allergic reactions. Signs include trouble breathing or swallowing of the face. Most common side effects include runny nose, sore throat, common cold symptoms, flu or flu-like symptoms, back pain, high blood sugar, and redness, pain, or bruising at the injection site.
The goal is a heart attack or stroke between me and everything else. Neither should you. Tell your doctor to lower your LDL and reduce your risk with Repatha. You pay no more than $5 per month in Repatha copay.
Earlier, we told you about instant coffee. Now the subject is real coffee. What is it? Jim Gaffigan, whose Amazon Prime special Quality Time starts streaming next weekend, shares some thoughts.
America. I love it. But we live in such a divided country. Red state, blue state, liberal, conservative. Each side thinks the other is wrong. I believe it's our civic responsibility to focus on the real problem people. Those fellow citizens who are frankly destroying the true fabric of this great nation. I think everyone knows what I'm talking about. The decaf drinkers. We've put off dealing with these coffee frauds for too long, people. Now I understand there may be some decaf drinkers living amongst us. Maybe a decaffer is watching with you right now and drinking in their dirty. My objective is not to make them feel bad. So please do me a favor. Turn down their hearing aid. I'll wait. Thanks. These decaf weirdos have lost sight of the true purpose of coffee. Coffee should have caffeine in it. Everyone knows that. It's in the Bible, for God's sakes. Heck, even the way coffee is spelled, it looks like the person who wrote it had too much coffee. Coffee is not just some brown beverage we foolishly stand in line and pay too much for. Coffee fuels the engine of America and magically makes other humans palatable. If there is no real coffee, America as a country will literally stop. And so would many of our digestive systems. I would say how decaf is presented as some logical alternative to coffee. Serve you that. Would you like regular decaf? Do I look pregnant? Don't answer. In hotel rooms, there's only 1 packet of regular coffee and 2 packets of decaf. As if every hotel guest has kidnapped 2 grandmas. There are so many reasons to confront these coffee traders. My biggest issue is the inconvenience decaf causes. As someone who briefly worked in the service industry, I know when someone selfishly orders decaf in a restaurant, a whole other pot of fake coffee has to be made. Or the server has to lie and say regular coffee is decaf. That's what I want.
It's unfair that everyone involved. Decaf is un-American. Maybe I'm overreacting. I don't know. I had a lot of coffee this morning. I can go for another cup. Coffee!
Not enough.
You have to be mindful that you are part of a legacy.
In their footsteps.
COPD makes it hard to breathe. So to breathe better, I started with an arm.
COPD tries to say, go this way. I say, under my voice with an arm.
Once daily Anora contains two medicines called bronchodilators that work together to significantly improve lung function all day and all night. Anora is not for asthma. It contains a type of medicine that increases risk of death in people with asthma. The risk is unknown in COPD. Anora won't replace rescue inhalers for sudden symptoms and should not be used more than once a day. Tell your doctor if you have a heart condition, high blood pressure, glaucoma, prostate, bladder, or urinary problems. These may worsen with Anora. Call your doctor if you have worsened breathing, chest pain, mouth or tongue swelling, problems urinating, vision changes, or eye pain while taking Anora.
Ask your doctor about once daily Anora to start treating your COPD.
Save at Anora.com.
Labels industry will customize your products. So you only pay for what?
I wish I could shake your hand.
Granted. Only pay.
I've had muscle cramps for as long as I can remember. But now that I'm using Prevotid, they have stopped. This is the only thing in my entire life that is actually good.
Get Theraworks Relief today. Available in stores everywhere.
You take a 10 shift and hold up like a top shift, and for big size.
After 30 years, our buildings speak for themselves. Dream, design, and build at Shen.com.
A renowned dance company that's inspired many young lives has just passed an impressive milestone with Reed Braver, Reed Step Lively.
I remember this is where you taught me the song That's Entertainment.
When Robert Battle goes to visit Jesse Williams, the cousin who raised him, she loves to brag that she always knew he was special.
You didn't have to encourage him to do these things. He did them, he was self-motivated.
Still, he had a lot to overcome.
He had this extremely low leg, and the doctor told him that if it's
But young Robert Battle was instantly inspired. And he saw the Alvin Ailey Dance Theater, one of the most celebrated modern dance troupes in the world.
There were people who were dancing, who did this for a living, who were famous.
And Battle was not about to let his challenges deter him. In his cousin's home in a rough part of Miami, he improvised a dance studio using his imagination and the security bars on the window.
I decided that because of this cross-section, this could be my ballet bars, that I was trying to catch up to people who had started when they were kids.
Battle more than caught up. He got a scholarship to the prestigious Juilliard School.
I think that's dramatic. Okay, let's start.
And became a professional dancer as well as a renowned choreographer.
And you play and then around.
He is now artistic director of the very dance company that inspired him all those years ago.
You have to be mindful that you are part of a legacy, that you're taking care of a legacy that has history.
It's a history 60 years in the making.
but it was an unlikely beginning. Alvin Ailey formed his own dance company at age 27, at a time when many venues didn't even allow black and white dancers to dance on the same stage. But he was constantly breaking new ground in the world of dance, as he told Sunday Morning in 1984.
If it were easy, I wouldn't want to be able to do it. It's because we would not be at that perfect moment.
One of those perfect moments was Revelations, considered Ailey's signature piece. It portrays the African-American story set to spirituals and blues.
It's a journey, and you end up smiling with somebody in your face, your fortitude, your love of your family. These are big.
Former dancer and artistic director Judith Jamison played a key role in the company's rise. In 1971, Ailey choreographed a solo for her called Cry, an ode to Black women. It's now considered a classic. Was it exhilarating to perform, or were you scared to do it? A little bit of both. The company was often on the verge of financial ruin, but Ailey always brought it back. Then his health started to decline, and in 1989 he asked Jamison to take over the company. Later that year, he passed away. What was that loss like for the people in the company?
It was devastating, but it was also, it lifted us, because nothing left us. Nothing wrong with that.
Jamison used his roadmap for 21 years. But in 2011, it was time to pass the torch to a new director, Robert Maddow.
What I'm doing is a continuum of what Alvin started in the first place brilliantly, is that we are past, present, and future always. So I'm making sure that we remain on the precipice, that we continue to challenge our audience to see the company in new ways.
Following in Ailey's footsteps, Maddow continues to spread the joy of dance to underprivileged communities.
There's two things going in the way, opposite direction, right?
There are 10 camps around the country and a school for aspiring dancers. Can you figure out which ones are going to make it so early on?
It's interesting. Sometimes you can. You see that spark.
And so, 60 years later, with a whole new generation, the dance goes on.
When people come to see this company, even if they come kicking and screaming, to say, thank you, I really needed to see that. I needed to feel that connection to make me feel hopeful about the world.
My body is truly powerful.
Tomorrow morning, covering this, temperatures
actually is for direct war spending. Only 15% of the open budget is going to direct war spending. If you think about it, that's crazy. Now, a White House budget official defended the request for more money to the fund in an op-ed. He wrote, "It is the only fiscally responsible option to meet national security needs while not exceeding spending caps created by Congress." Coming up on Full Measure, a creepy corner with...
You're not a dentist. He's going to visit you again. He's going to show out in another way.
We get into your Monday, it's going to feel close to 90 degrees, a little over that at times, and then it's feeling around 100 on Tuesday. Tuesday could be weather alert because of storms within that moist and humid atmosphere. And then we get into Wednesday and Thursday, still humid out there, but again, just not quite as oppressive. Current temperatures out there right now, it's refreshing out there. Those temperatures are in the 70s right now. We're going to top out in the mid-80s today, maybe a degree or two cooler than yesterday. And still, it is feeling good out there. Average temperature in
time of year is about 87, 88 degrees. So looking good, no rain, nothing to worry about out there today. It's gonna be a little warm, but hey, listen, if you're headed to the county fairs, beautiful, perfect time to get out there, especially with the kiddos, because again, you don't have that heat and humidity. Well, you have the heat, you don't have the humidity. Church services, beautiful for that. Really out, couldn't ask for better weather in August. Look at this. It's beautiful, not a cloud in the sky. And also we have no rain out there. But we do have those rain chances, as I said, returning Tuesday into Wednesday as the frontal system comes through our area. There will purchase on Tuesday. That's going to trigger a few showers and other fruits and slowly move through as we get into Wednesday and Thursday. So I keep raining on both days. But again, could be weather alert on Tuesday with some stronger storms. Damaging winds would be the primary threat out of this. But again, we'll continue to see some rain showers and thunderstorms on your Tuesday. But for tomorrow, we are dry. And the humidity will increase with every passing hour. So tomorrow morning not going to be that bad. Tomorrow afternoon, hot and humid with those sectors right around 90. Oh yeah, and that's a school forecast because kids are going to be back to school tomorrow. Not everybody, but there's some kids are already in school. So Sunday and Monday, not too bad. Now, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, rain chances of the frontal system comes through. Looks like the humidity will stay with us Friday, Saturday, and Sunday of this upcoming work week. Beautiful. We've got more news.
Do you worry about slipping and falling in the bathroom? At Richard Dr. Bathroom Timer, we offer a full line of non-slip timers and many other safety-minded products that can make your bathroom.
Introducing the Power Smokeless Grill. The artificial preservatives or nitrates or nitrites. It's often a love of hot dogs.
So can no one tells you about tampons?
They play not as
Eye problems and muscle weakness can be solved.
Make sure to join us Monday morning as Good Morning Washington goes back to school on the road. The first three districts head back Monday to
way and in plain sight. It's drawn the curious, the daring, and sometimes destructive.
We've actually had homeless people living in and in front of the cemetery. We've actually walked up on people up on top having sex in the cemetery. So we try to keep it locked up, but this door gets broken into about once a month.
Security is something new here. So is the family connection. Brenton and other family members found each other on Facebook a couple of years ago. They started organizing regular cleanup parties.
When we first came up here in the beginning, this was like 2015, this whole top looked like jungle.
Together, they cleared away the brush that covered up this link to their past. But the family hasn't been able to clear up some lingering questions. No one knows exactly how many are buried here and in which spots. But DNA did tell them this place has some famous ties.
These graves in some way connect to George Washington's family.
George Washington's brother, Samuel, is my 10 times great grandfather on my mother's father's Crowley side. We always thought there was something special about this because it wasn't normal for them to do this. And then once we kind of made that connection, all that stuff, it kind of made sense.
It's hard to make sense of seeing something.
7 August 9th through 60 minutes has been long issues, but none are probable.
I would just like to be our mother to do something with something.
If you can't see us, hear us on our Sunday morning podcast, sponsored by Tough Shed. Dream, design, and build.
need you this Sunday morning.
For instant relief from the sun.
Let's make a map. Catch us on social media.
Watch Mr. Bios now.
In 10 minutes. Just
On us, sports $100 credit towards select Samsung Tech.
We are a very connected family, and we have the devices running on at once. The Wi-Fi slows down, and that creates chaos. That's pretty much how the chaos works. It slows me down, and it slows down my productivity and everything I have to do.
When you sign up for Fios Gigabit Connection, you get our fastest speeds available, enough for all your devices. That's internet you will not grow.
If I have fast internet, it'll make things much easier. Because they have video games, tablets, smart TV. I just want things to work.
And right now, get a free Samsung Chromebook 3 on us, or it's $50 credit towards select Samsung Tech when you sign up for Fios Gigabit Connection, TV, and phone for $79.99 per month with a 2-year price guarantee and a 2-year agreement. But hurry, offer ends August 28th. The best internet is even better at our best price, only on Fios.
So I created Gabe 25 years and my son's 35 years. And after working with him for over a decade, I learned something very important. Parents do have a role. Mine is Armature. Only Cambridge pavers are made with Armature, a unique process that produces beautiful colors that last for years to come. You love your home, but who more? I will never tell you.
Battery power, made by Steel, one battery, multiple tools. Right now, get a battery trimmer or a battery blower at just $199.95. Visit steeldealers.com.
The secret to getting your kids' sleep schedule back on track for school, looking at this for today.
This Sunday, a nation on edge as 2 communities born. We need to heal. We need to love another again. President Trump lashes out at his critics. Think about 0%. And Democrats unify in opposition to the president on guns, race, and white supremacy.
He's a big hit with white supremacists.
This is white nationalism. Will the shootings lead to new regulations on guns?
I think we can do meaningful, very meaningful background, which would cause them just a little bit more. My view, no problem.
And after the largest targeted attack on Latinos in modern American history, hundreds are arrested in workplace immigration raids. My guest this morning, Acting Homeland Security Secretary Kevin McAleenan. Also, after Jeffrey Epstein, accused of sex trafficking, dies in federal custody, there are new questions for Trump's Justice Department. Plus, my on-the-trail interview with Senator Kamala Harris on the president.
People are afraid.
And on her campaign, there is finally all eyes on Iowa. Hello, Iowa! 22 presidential candidates blitz the first in the nation caucus state. Joining me for insight and analysis on NBC News White House correspondent Kristen Wong, Hugh Hewitt, host of the Salem Radio Network, Maria Teresa Kumar, president of Voto Latino, and Robert Costa, national political reporter for the Washington Post. Welcome to Sunday. It's Meet the Press.
From NBC News, the longest running show in television history. This is Meet the Press.
Good Sunday morning. As the country struggles to process the events of last weekend, as we grapple once again with our gun culture, this one feels deeper and a bit raw. It was a week that the country needed a president to do what presidents have done in the past, provide solace and relief. To remind us all that the American story travels on that arc of history that bends to justice. Instead, President Trump delivered a teleprompter message of unity on Monday, and then spent most of the rest of the week attacking his perceived political foes, calling Dayton Mayor Nancy Whaley's news conference fraud, saying Texas Congressman Joaquin Castro makes a fool of himself every time he opens his mouth, and telling Federal Work of El Paso, Texas, to quote, be quiet.
including comparing this crowd size to federal works during a visit to El Paso Hospital. Democrats, in turn, ramped up their rhetoric, blaming the president and many calling him a white supremacist. 6.5 years after Newtown and 2 years after Charlottesville, what does happen? Will a bill strengthening background checks gain momentum? Or will we see the predictable wash, rinse, repeat cycle of inaction or gridlock on the issue of guns play out again? Will the Trump administration surprise its critics and fully engage in addressing domestic terrorism, particularly its links to white supremacist ideology? Or will that comment continue to fester? Just this week in Las Vegas and Toledo, Ohio, and part of Florida, arrests were made after domestic terror threats. As the threat rises, only a president can lead the conversation. The problem, this president who has wielded the politics of race as a political cudgel, is still.
We need meaningful background checks so that sick people don't get guns.
President Trump, under political pressure after mass shootings in El Paso and Dayton, is promising new gun regulation.
We'll see where the NRA will be. But we have to have meaningful background checks.
It's a message that may sound familiar. After Las Vegas,
We'll be talking about gun laws as time goes by.
after Parkland,
We'll be doing the background checks.
in the end, the president and Senate Republicans failed to support background check legislation.
Time is now different. Time goes by. I don't think I'm different, but I think the Senate is different. I think other people in the House are different.
But a spokesman for Senate Republican leader Mitch McConnell said he has not yet endorsed any legislation. That's after pushback for these comments Thursday.
But what we can't do is fail to pass something, by just walking up and failing to pass. That's unacceptable.
The only thing a new law would do would drive a wedge between Trump and his voters and the NRA.
Red flag laws, which identify extreme risk individuals and empower family and
It's a scoop of soup.
and Syria.
Do you think that if they do change the program, if they delay it, if they rework it, that has some ramifications that tells companies maybe in the future about other acquisitions, hey, we should go to the defense secretary, we should go to the president with our complaints and see what we can do beyond maybe the big protest process or the court process? Andrew, any thoughts on that?
Well, it does effectively create a new court of appeal with the presidency that you go get the president to order a review of something that has been repeatedly reviewed already. So I think you're right. I think it adds another layer in what is already a fairly complex and Byzantine contracting process. And, this one been through not one, but two bid protests effectively, with the Court of Federal Claims having reviewed it after the GAO protests. So every I has been dotted, every T is crossed. That doesn't mean the penalty.
Years ago, I replaced Unwin. The same day President Trump visited El Paso, ICE raided 7 food processing plants in Mississippi, arresting about 680 undocumented workers.
I need my dad to me. My dad didn't do nothing. He started putting my nose.
But federal authorities have yet to announce charges against the companies themselves.
Deterrent is a very good deterrent. If people come into our country illegally, they're going out.
And joining me now is the acting Secretary of Homeland Security. Good to see you, Jeff. Let me start with those raids in Mississippi. They were followed closely by violence in El Paso. Some headlines in the country this week about many Hispanic communities just not feeling safe, including declaring Edgewater, Jackson, Mississippi, tremendous fear. Boston Globe, Hispanics, congregants saying that they're scared. I understand the rules for some time. Is there any thought that postponing just simply the time?
So let me start with the community in El Paso. That's our community. That's the Department of Homeland Security community. There's 4,000 families there protecting that border. They're largely Hispanic. They're primarily Hispanic. So this is an attack in El Paso on us, on our community. And it's something we respond to operationally. We need to respond to be clear about what happened. It was hate, it was domestic terrorism, and it's our responsibility to do more to address it. In terms of the ICE operations, these are enforcement operations that are part of the dating cycle. Something like this has been planned for over a year. This is a criminal investigation, 14 federal warrants issued by a judge, and ICE had to follow through on it. It was already planned in action.
Did you know this raid was going to happen this week in advance? Were you informed of this as the president?
So the president doesn't run law enforcement operations. I was, of course, informed of it, but this is done.
But there was no thought of postponing it.
Even 2 weeks, considering the sensitivity of, you saw that headlines, you've seen it, and I know you want to be sensitive to this. Was there any thought?
So these employers are exploiting undocumented workers. This is a situation where you have 680 arrests just in this one operation. That means those employers are just ignoring the law entirely in what they do. That's why Judge Gibson wants to go after them. This is the middle of an ongoing criminal investigation. We do expect to continue forward with toward charges.
So it's interesting you just said you were talking about the employers. The only people arrested are the employees.
So as I said, we're in the middle of an ongoing investigation. We get a warrant from federal judge of probable cause, then go gather evidence at the sites, and then you look at the appropriate charges in concert with the Department of Justice and U.S. Attorney to see that.
All right. Look, this is what ICE's work for. This is what the website says. This is workforce enforcement. This is what it says on ICE's website. ICE will obtain indictments, criminal arrests, or search warrants, or a commitment from a U.S. Attorney's office to prosecute the targeted employer before arresting employees for civil immigration violations. This looks like the exact opposite. You arrested the employees, about half of whom have been released, perhaps because they work. None of these employers, in fact, we had law enforcement tell us they couldn't even tell us which companies were targeted. Who committed the crime? Didn't the employer commit the crime?
Of course, and we do have those employers in names who were targeted. But we just finished an investigation very similar in Tennessee with over 150 arrests 18 months ago. But we now have an individual employer who's got a 1.5-year sentence in federal prison for this effort. We're in the middle of the criminal investigation. This case will be pursued.
These, 600 agents. It's our understanding they were drawn from all sorts of parts of the country. You have said the system is stressed, targeting non-violent undocumented people. Is that the priority? Shouldn't the priority be of the criminals that supposedly the gang attacks? Isn't that the priority? What evidence that these people were harming society?
So let me be clear, the priority right now is our border security crisis, the humanitarian and security crisis at the border.
So this is not on board.
So let me explain. So 75% of those people that ICE is taking into custody are coming from recent border entrants. The remaining 25%, 85% of those are criminals or people that are mandatory detention. That this group is the smaller part of this group, but you have to have a balanced enforcement strategy. We've got to start with our partners in Central America and Mexico. We've got to secure the border, but we also have to have interior enforcement to stop this incentive, this work opportunity that we have in the U.S. That employers are exploiting.
I understand that, but the rhetoric doesn't match the action. The action targeted the employee, not the employer. The employer has not been targeted here.
So it was nice and comfortable to know that CarShield was going to take care of the entire process and the billing.
Hey, Ernie, it's so great to see you. So let's explain to everybody watching out there how CarShield works.
Let's do it.
Okay.
Because there were studies showing that if you drink beetroot juice, you can increase your performance by
business lines was very, very strong. We're happy to report that.
What in particular were you happy with? What in particular, or do you think you still have some work to do?
Sure. I was very happy with claims processing. We had actually run a challenge between May 6th and June 30th. We challenged our team to do 9 weeks worth of work in 8 weeks to really up the pace to get our claims processed. And they did that. In fact, they actually more than exceeded the target, leading me to believe I was a bad negotiator. The quality remained high, and other work didn't show, which had previously been that. Overall, it was very good performance, but all of it we talk about in DBA, continuous improvement. We can never be happy with what we did, so we're constantly looking to streamline. And what we worry about is veterans go into the world every day, and that's who we're dealing with. Let me give you an example. They can track a pizza by the block, come into their house, and they wonder why it takes so long to do a claim. That's what I worry about. So quite frankly, are we happy? Yes, it was a great performance. Are we satisfied? No, we're always going to be challenging ourselves to do that.
You alluded to something there that I think is really important. Every agency struggles with the speed versus quality nexus. How do you determine that? We give you
the NRA's Wayne LaPierre to appear on the broadcast, but he declined our invitation. We now turn to the number 2 Republican in the House, Steve Scalise. He joins us this morning from New Orleans. Good morning, Congressman.
Good morning, Margaret. Good to be with you.
President Trump says he wants meaningful background checks. Why aren't you supporting?
LA 24/7 News.
He will develop a
This entire
Confirm this. I can't confirm this. I was not involved in that back and forth, but what I can tell you,
are some who do go. They're transformed because they begin to, even no matter what their life was like, they begin to trust in the other. They begin to trust in the place that has been prepared for them. And so we ask, Lord, show me where I'm holding on. I don't have faith. Help me to turn that over to you. Help me to live every day with the awareness that I live for you and that you will take care of it. Not what I can take care of, but I trust in you. This is the faith that saves us. This is the faith